Chapter 241. To put it simply, Tang San was in charge of the most important assembly, which was also the secret of the Tang sect's hidden weapons. Because the Tang sect's hidden weapons had been passed down for thousands of years, they had accumulated the wisdom of many predecessors, and there were many secrets and techniques in assembly. Ning Fengji pondered for a moment and did not refuse. Then, he discussed with Tang San the types of hidden weapons and the supporting equipment. The most important thing was the price. In the end, the price was 5 million gold soul coins. 500 sets of hidden weapons. If Wang Feng were here, he would probably sigh and think that this was easy money. Little Sin only needed to be in charge of the technology. He did not need to care about the components, materials, or even the process. He only needed to assemble to get 5 million gold soul coins. However, considering that the Tang sect was the only hidden weapon craftsman on the continent, this price was not considered expensive. All right, there's one more thing. Ning Fengji pondered for a moment and straightened his clothes. The bow and Douluo walked over slightly. Rong sky, full of clouds. I heard that you and that kid called Wang Feng gave it to Rong. Ning Fengji's eyes swept over Tang San like a scanner. Tang San was slightly shocked. He thought for a moment and answered, "Yes, I found it. Brother Feng picked it and gave it to Rong. Is that so?" Ning Fengji's eyes flashed. But why did I hear from Rong that this divine herb was carefully cultivated by Wang Feng? Tang San was slightly stunned when he heard this. He looked at Ning Rong. Ning Rong stuck out her tongue in embarrassment. She remembered clearly what they had agreed on. However, when she told her father, Ning Rong could not help but want to tell him about Wang Feng's power. Seeing that Tang San did not speak, Ning Fengji laughed and said, "Don't be nervous. You don't have to be nervous. Your father and I are old acquaintances. What I mean is, do you have any more of this divine herb?" Tang San shook his head and frowned. This divine herb is hard to find. Sky full of clouds is even harder to find. There are almost no similar ones. There is also the beautiful silk tulip. It should have a similar effect, but it is not as good as sky full of clouds. Unfortunately, it was eaten by Big Brother Feng from the very beginning. Then he should still be able to cultivate it, right? Ning Fengji's eyes were burning as he asked. "I don't know about that." Tang San shook his head and said, "Brother Feng said it's very difficult for him to cultivate a second stalk of those divine herbs." Ning Fengji smiled. He knew that Tang San was trying to cover it up, but he didn't ask about it. "Can I ask your friend for more information about Wang Feng?" Ning Fengji glanced at Ning Rong and said with a smile, "I'm also curious about your friend, but he's injured right now, so it's not convenient for me to ask." Tang San thought about it and said, "Uncle Ning, I know what you want to ask. I'll tell you directly. Brother Feng's background is simple. I grew up with him, and my father knows him well. His parents died when he was born. He's just an ordinary child from a small village." Ning Fengji and the Douluo had the same expression as Titan, a young man who could cultivate such a miraculous medicine and withstand the full pressure of the Herculean Titan. And you're telling me that he's just an ordinary child from a small village? "It's the same even if you investigate," Tang San said with a smile. Ning Fengji and the Douluo couldn't believe it. "How is this possible?" The Douluo murmured, "His body doesn't look like an ordinary person's. I can't see through it, and I've never seen it before. Most importantly, he didn't even release his martial soul just now. I heard from Rong that he's an auxiliary-type soul master," Ning Fengji said in a low voice. Both of them thought that Wang Feng's background shouldn't be inferior to Tang San's. However, they thought of the strongest titled Douluo in recent years and found that many of them were correct, so they wanted to ask Tang San this question. But now they got such an answer. Moreover, it seemed like it was true. "Dad, Grandpa Gu, why are you asking this?" Ning Rong couldn't stand it anymore. "Don't ask about Wang Feng anymore. Wang Feng's background is bad, but it doesn't affect you." Ning Fengji smiled bitterly and said, Rong, it's not that we don't like his background, but his talent and strength are too exaggerated. You might not have seen it clearly just now, and you don't understand what it means to be able to resist the pressure of the Titan without dying. Let me tell you, There might not be a second person at his age on the entire continent who can do this. Ning Rongrong's level wasn't high in the situation just now, but she felt that Wang Feng was very powerful, very powerful. However, she didn't know how powerful it was or what it was about it. Even Tang San might not understand it completely. I don't want to know this. Anyway, you're not allowed to ask about Wang Feng anymore. Otherwise, I'll ignore you. Ning Rongrong tilted her head and said angrily. However, when she heard her father praise Wang Feng, she felt happy in her heart. Tang San thought that Rongrong told her father about Brother Feng's secret probably because she wanted Uncle Ning to know how powerful Brother Feng is. Unfortunately, Brother Feng doesn't seem to be interested in relationships. Brother Feng doesn't seem to want to be involved in relationships. Although Brother Feng also likes to look at beautiful girls with big breasts and long legs, he's not willing to do it for real. Ning Fengji and Gu Douluo looked at each other. At this moment, Tang San handed the blueprints of many hidden weapons to Ning Fengji and left the meeting room. Ning Fengji looked at the blueprints. Tang Hao's son is quite outstanding. He can even make such powerful things. 5 million is not a loss. Just Rongrong's Cloud Weaver's baby stars alone is worth a mere 5 million. This child is Tang Hao's son. His future is limitless, and he has twin martial souls. In another 10 years, he might be another Tang Hao. Gu Douluo looked at the door and said with a smile, "Furthermore, he's so young and can be so calm in front of people and things. He doesn't look like a 13 or 14-year-old child at all. Not simple. Not simple. Father, you must come over and help Wang Feng recover later. I'll go out first." At this moment, Ning Rongrong also stood up and walked to the door. Suddenly, she turned to look at the two of them and said, "Also, you can't investigate Wang Feng's matter. If I find out, I'll ignore you in the future." After saying that, Ning Rongrong walked out. "Fengji, Tang San is Tang Hao's son. It's not good for us to touch him, but this Wang Feng, I'm afraid he's not simple." After Ning Rongrong left, Gu Douluo said in a low voice, "The last time Old Sword came back, he said that this child could withstand 3 kicks from his physical strength a year ago. This kid is fine, and he even pretended to vomit blood. Old Sword, on the other hand, was a little uncomfortable. It's only been a year. He can even withstand the pressure of Titan, that old gorilla. His growth is too exaggerated. In the future, when this kid grows up, I'm afraid even Tang Hao won't be his match. Are we really not going to investigate?" Ning Fengji thought for a moment and shook his head. "No, Tang San doesn't have to lie. Even if we investigate, it's probably the same as what Tang San said. It'll even make Rongrong unhappy. This Wang Feng, Rongrong likes him. However, from what Rongrong and Tang San said, it'll be difficult for this kid to join the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile sect." When he said that, a smile appeared on Ning Fengji's face. But what? As the saying goes, heroes have a weakness for the charms of beautiful women. Let's go, Uncle Gu. Let's go meet this kid and be prepared to beat him up. Otherwise, this kid will bully Rongrong in the future. Chapter 242. After Tang San came out of the conference room, he went to Wang Feng's room first. "Brother Feng, Rongrong told Uncle Ning that you can cultivate the godly medicine." Tang San looked at Wang Feng, who had recovered a lot, and said slowly, "I know." Wang Feng nodded. Wang Feng had already noticed the strange look Ning Fengji gave him earlier. "Actually, it's nothing. It's not easy to hide the godly medicine." Wang Feng looked at Tang San and wanted to say something. He said calmly, "The strength of the 7 of you has increased too obviously. You've risen 6 or 7 levels in a few days. Anyone will notice it. If they really want to investigate, it's impossible to hide it." This was true. Although it wasn't written in the original book, it was actually very easy to investigate. After all, 6 people rising 6 or 7 levels in a few days was too exaggerated. It's just that the problem of me cultivating the godly medicine is more troublesome. However, that Uncle Ning won't talk nonsense. Wang Feng suddenly smiled. He's Rongrong's father. No matter how you look at it, he's not a bad person. Also, I don't think he'll spread this matter casually. Then what if he blackmails you? or coerces you to cultivate the godly medicine for them. Tang San frowned. Brother Feng, don't forget that Uncle Ning has two titled Douluo behind him. Whether it was Tai Tan or Ning Fengji, they both asked about Brother Feng's background. However, Brother Feng's background was too simple. They could find out everything with just a simple investigation. Tang San knew that Ning Fengji was willing to make that kind of deal with him and didn't coerce him to join the Seven Treasure Glazed Tile sect because of his father. But Brother Feng, Wang Feng laughed a few times and was about to speak. At this moment, a clear voice sounded from outside the door. They dare. Outside the door, a pretty figure walked lightly into the room. If Dad and Grandpa Gu dare to threaten Wang Feng, I, Ning Rongrong, will disown them. The person who came was Ning Rongrong. Tang Sin touched his nose and was speechless for a moment. Ning Rongrong's face still seemed a bit angry. After she finished speaking, she suddenly looked at Wang Feng and nervously asked, Wang Feng, do you blame me for telling my father about you? Of course, Wang Feng said without any trace of politeness. I really want to beat you up. Ning Rongrong pouted and whispered, don't hit me. What do you want? How about you make 3 requests, and I'll compensate you? As she spoke, Ning Rongrong walked over to Wang Feng's side. She was like a kitten that wanted to steal a fish, but was afraid that her owner would find out. She tugged at the corner of Wang Feng's clothes. Tang San, who was at the side, hurriedly squinted his eyes and pretended that he did not see or hear anything. Wang Feng glared at her and shook his head. No need. How can I blame you? Moreover, if your father really did something like that, he wouldn't be called Ning Fengji. Hearing this, Tang San and Ning Rongrong were both stunned. You know my father? Ning Rongrong said in surprise. You haven't seen him, have you? No. Wang Feng smiled and said, who doesn't know the name of the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile sect Master Ning? He is elegant and refined. In just a little more than 10 years, he can carry forward the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile sect. He really has the wisdom to govern the country and the world. How can he do such a treacherous, cunning, and shameless thing? After he finished speaking, Tang San and Ning Rongrong were shocked. Is my father so powerful? Ning Rongrong could not help but tilt her head and think for a while, and then asked in surprise. Tang San could not help but think. Yes, is Uncle Ning so powerful? Maybe he is a great talent, but it's not so exaggerated, is it? Ahem. At this moment, there was a cough outside the door. It was Ning Fengji and the Bon Douluo standing outside the door. Seeing this, Tang San's heart trembled. These two actually came to the door, and I didn't even notice. Brother Feng is really cunning. He must have noticed it. So he said this, right? Uncle Ning was probably embarrassed by what he said. Ning Rongrong glared at Ning Fengji, as if to say, if you dare to threaten Wang Feng, don't call me your daughter. She was not stupid. She knew that if she told her father Wang Feng's secret, her father would definitely look for Wang Feng and pay special attention to Wang Feng. This was what Ning Rongrong wanted to see. But if her father threatened Wang Feng, Ning Rongrong would be the first to disagree. A married daughter is like spilled water. You're not married yet? You're siding with an outsider. Ning Fengji glanced at his precious daughter and couldn't help but sigh in his heart. Uncle Ning. Tang San looked at Ning Fengji. At this moment, Wang Feng also looked at Ning Fengji and pretended to be surprised. So you're Rongrong's father? You're actually so young. When I was outside the school gate just now, I thought you were Rongrong's elder brother. I didn't expect you to be Rongrong's father. Ning Fengji. The Bon Douluo smiled secretly and thought to himself, this kid is indeed as cunning as Old Sword said. He's really as slippery as a fox. I can't even find a loophole. Old Sword was clearly the one who suffered last time, but he couldn't even say a harsh word to him. This kid is even more difficult to deal with than Tang San. He's so young, but he's almost a demon. The Bon Douluo thought to himself. They were here to find trouble with this kid and teach him a lesson so that he wouldn't bully Rongrong in the future. But now, Ning Fengji really didn't know what to say. He and the Bon Douluo secretly followed behind Ning Rongrong. They knew that their daughter would definitely go to see Wang Feng. Ning Fengji also sensed that his daughter wanted to let him know how powerful the boy she liked was. She wanted him to pay attention to that boy. That was why she told him about Wang Feng's cultivation of the divine medicine. Otherwise, this kind of thing should have been a secret agreement between the few of them. Ning Fengji thought that if this kid knew that Ning Rongrong told him the secret of his cultivation of the divine medicine, he would definitely blame him for bullying Rongrong. Therefore, Ning Fengji and the Douluo secretly followed behind Ning Rongrong. They planned to wait for Wang Feng to blame him for bullying Rongrong so that they could get the Douluo to teach this kid a lesson. After all, it was only right for a father to stand up for his daughter, right? Otherwise, as the sect leader of the Seven Treasure Glazed Tile sect, he couldn't just let a titled Douluo teach someone a lesson, right? And this was in someone else's academy. Ning Fengji still wanted to save face. He heard this kid say to Rongrong, "I really want to beat you up." Ning Fengji was secretly delighted. Just as he was about to push the door open and enter, who knew? This kid didn't play by the rules at all. After that, he bragged so much that Ning Fengji felt a little smug. Why do I feel that he's more cunning than those old foxes in the Empire? Ning Fengji was a little shocked. Since you're Rongrong's father, I'll be bold enough to call you Uncle Ning. I believe Uncle Ning is here to check on my injuries, right? At this moment, Wang Feng lamented, "Uncle Ning, you're so nice. Don't worry, my injuries are fine. It's just that I can't fight for the next 2 days. Thank you for your concern, Uncle Ning." Hearing this, Ning Fengji came back to his senses. After thinking for a long time, he could only go along with Wang Feng's words. "It's good that you're fine. You've taken good care of Rongrong in the academy. I've also heard Rongrong mention you often. Since that's the case, you should recuperate well. We'll visit you again when we're free." After speaking, Ning Fengji and the Douluo looked at each other and walked out. Chapter 243. After the two of them left, Brother Feng is amazing. Tang Sen smiled. Uncle Ning came aggressively. If you really reprimanded Rongrong just now, I'm afraid he would immediately ask that Senior Douluo to teach you a lesson. If you use your injuries as an excuse, he could treat you and make you speechless. Ning Rongrong was at a loss at first, then she realized. "I didn't expect you to send him away with just a few words," Tang San said in admiration. Wang Feng smiled and said, "Actually, I'm looking forward to that Senior Douluo making a move. After all, not every soul master can exchange blows with a titled Douluo. It's just that I'm not in a good state now." He was now rank 40. Even if the Douluo made a move and let Wang Feng activate the meteoric tier, he wouldn't be able to increase his rank. He would be beaten up for nothing. Wang Feng didn't want to suffer such a loss. "Let's talk about it when I reach rank 41. Wang Fengxin thought to himself, "Ha ha ha, Fengji, this is the first time I've seen you suffer a loss. Your actions just now have been controlled by this brat the entire time. This kid is also very sharp. How did he detect us? Even Tang San couldn't detect us." Ning Fengji and the Douluo walked out of the square. The Douluo laughed loudly. No wonder that old Jian can't forget this kid. The last time he came to see Rongrong, he said that he had some regrets. This kid is very interesting. Logically speaking, I like being able to make old Jian suffer a loss. I didn't expect that he could also make you suffer a loss. Ning Fengji recalled everything that happened just now and was so shocked that he broke out in a cold sweat until he walked out. No wonder this brat was able to train Rongrong until he was obedient, Ning Fengji said in a low voice. It was the first time the two of them had an official confrontation. Ning Fengji, was defeated. With Rongrong's personality, to be able to make her like this. Thinking about it, I feel that he's not simple. It's just that this kid is too smart. Rongrong is not his opponent at all. The Douluo smiled and said, "Even if Rongrong likes this kid, she can't control herself." Ning Fengji nodded slightly. He could see that this kid called Wang Feng was very difficult to deal with. Even he was already like this, not to mention Ning Rongrong. However, they are still young. Ning Fengji smiled. When it comes to matters of the heart, it's useless no matter how good you are. This kid is indeed not ordinary. In the future, Even if he doesn't join our Seven Treasures Glaze sect with Rong Rong's relationship with him, it's enough. Of you, if you say that you don't have any feelings for Rong Rong, the Bon de Douluo was slightly taken aback. Most of the time, the people involved are not aware of their feelings. Ning Fengji smiled. Just like you and Uncle Jian, although you're always fighting, when it comes to critical moments, the two of you will have better chemistry than anyone else. But who can tell? Those who don't know will think that the two of you are enemies. Hearing this, the Bon de Douluo fell silent. Ning Fengji's words hit the nail on the head. They were very reasonable. That's why. Ning Fengji looked back at the room and saw Ning Rongrong walking out of the room with a smile. He couldn't help but sigh. Such feelings will only be shown at critical moments. This kid is so smart. His talent is 1 in a million, and he treats Rongrong so well. Only the three of us know about the divine medicine. I can't bear to tell anyone about it. In the future, whether the Seven Treasure Glaze Tile sect can continue to be passed down. Perhaps we will have to depend on him. His last sentence sounded like a mumble. The Bon de Douluo was shocked. Fengji, what do you mean? A storm is coming. Ning Fengji shook his head and didn't say much. He only walked out the school gate with the Bon de Douluo. But Uncle Bon, we still have to find a chance to beat this kid up. Otherwise, Rong Rong will be bullied by him. Let's find another chance next time. The Bon de Douluo was speechless. Ning Rongrong was very happy. Wang Feng didn't blame her, and her father didn't find trouble with Wang Feng. This was great. Wang Feng didn't blame her. He had interacted with Ning Fengji before and knew what kind of person Ning Fengji was. If he was really that kind of person, Wang Feng would have left the academy a long time ago. Furthermore, if Ning Fengji was smart, he would help him keep this secret. Wang Fengxin thought to himself. After reaching rank 40, Wang Feng wanted to hunt Soul Beast by himself because Lu Erlong and Dai Mubai hadn't returned yet. Furthermore, he wanted to go to the Great Star Do Forest and not the Setting Sun Forest near Heaven Do City. The Great Star Do Forest was quite a distance from Heaven Do Imperial City. Therefore, Wang Feng decided to go to the Great Star Do Forest alone. Little Feng, do you really want to go alone? The day before Wang Feng left, the Grandmaster looked at the youth in front of him and asked, "Why don't you wait a little longer? Wait for Flinder and Erlong to return before you hunt soul beasts? Furthermore, why do you want to go to the Great Star Do Forest? That place is quite far from Heaven Do Imperial City." "Because I'm more familiar with that place." Wang Feng thought for a moment before replying, "I'm also familiar with many soul beasts there." He wanted to go to the Great Star Do Forest. Otherwise, Wang Feng wouldn't have gone so far. The Setting Sun Forest wasn't inferior to the Great Star Do Forest. Then you have to be careful. The Grandmaster thought for a moment before saying, "Oh yes, I found an academy for you regarding the matter you mentioned to me. You can participate in the Continental Advanced Soul Master Tournament as one of the 9-to-1. However, you can't reveal your identity so easily. I'll tell you more when you return." Wang Feng nodded. There was still half a year before the tournament. The rest of them still had some time before they reached level 40. Wang Feng roughly knew that the 7 of them would follow Lu Erlong, Flinder, and the others to the Setting Sun Forest to hunt soul beasts. However, he didn't want to waste so much time. Naturally, he wanted to obtain a soul ring as soon as possible and become a soul ancestor. After bidding farewell to the Grandmaster, Wang Feng also mentioned his departure to Tang San and the others before he left Heaven Do City for the Great Star Do Forest. It was after Wang Feng had left Heaven Do City, inside a luxurious room. That kid left Heaven Do City? Why isn't he cultivating in the academy? Why is he leaving the city? The masked man furrowed his brow. Judging from the direction, he's heading towards the Great Star Do Forest. Great Star Do Forest? Interesting. If he's breaking through, why isn't he going to the Setting Sun Forest to hunt soul beasts? The masked man was amused. That's good. Go and make arrangements. We'll go to the Great Star Do Forest to take a look. Yes, Your Highness. A few days later, Wang Feng returned to the Great Star Do Forest. I miss it a little. Wang Fengxin's heart skipped a beat. I wonder if I'll have a chance to meet Ming. I really want to spar with him. Chapter 244. Right now, the Great Star Doe forest was still verdant and lush, and it made one feel carefree and relaxed. One would feel a little more refreshed after taking a deep breath. After arriving at the Great Star Doe forest, Wang Feng was still in disguise. Yes, it's time to try the fourth form of the green lotus, Wang Feng thought to himself. After finding a quiet place, Wang Feng sat cross-legged. 3 soul rings rose from his body. The chaotic green lotus bloomed in his palm. Wang Feng's soul power gushed into the green lotus from his body. There are 4 lotus seeds in the lotus pod. 3 of them have already bloomed. The 4th one is the most mature and the biggest. I wonder if it will bloom? Wang Feng stared at the green lotus. As soul power surged in, the green lotus started to emit green light. Every leaf, petal, lotus pod, lotus seed, and stem started to glow. However, the 4th lotus seed didn't bloom like Wang Feng had expected. It seemed like his soul power wasn't enough to make the biggest lotus seed bloom. Instead, all his soul power surged into the stem. Gradually, the stem started to change. Finally, it left the green lotus and started to glow intensely in midair. Stem, could this be? Wang Feng was stunned as he looked at the stem. As soul power surged in, the stem slowly turned black. Finally, it turned into an ancient spear. There was a cold light at the tip of the spear. The blade of the spear seemed blunt. There were even a few ancient inscriptions on the body of the spear. However, they were all very dark. The moment the spear appeared, Wang Feng felt an overwhelming demonic aura. It was as if he had fallen into a boundless demonic hell. There were demonic howls all around him. The murderous aura was like the Milky Way. It was very difficult to resist. God-slaying spear? Wang Feng took in a deep breath. He did not expect that the 4th form of the green lotus would actually be this god-slaying spear with a monstrous demonic aura. Just from the name alone, Wang Feng could tell that this item could even kill saints in myths and legends. It was a true demonic weapon. Wang Feng hesitated for a moment as he looked at the spear. However, he still grabbed it. The spear was about the same height as him. The body of the spear and the blade of the spear looked very simple. It was as if it hadn't been forged properly. But the moment Wang Feng grasped it, the depths of his soul began to tremble. The scenery around him suddenly vanished. Wang Feng suddenly blinked his eyes. However, he wasn't in the Great Star Doe forest. Instead, he was in the demonic prison, where the sky was blood red. It was as if he was in midair. Down below, there were many strange humanoid creatures of different sizes. They were all extremely large, even larger than Erming. They all looked ferocious and had all sorts of strange appearances. Some had 2 heads and 4 arms. Some had eyes all over their faces, and some had mouths on their stomachs. However, the aura of each of them was incomparably powerful. This aura was far more powerful than any titled Douluo that Wang Feng had ever seen. Don't tell me they are all primordial fiend gods? Wang Fengxin thought to himself. Legend had it that the god-slaying spear was obtained by fiend ancestor Rahu. The word ancestor was enough to explain everything. The ancestor of all devils. Roar, roar, roar. The terrifying demonic gods let out deafening roars as if they were charging at Wang Feng. Their roars contained an extremely powerful spiritual impact. Almost instantly, Wang Feng's mind was shaken, and the scenery around him quickly shattered. It's all an illusion. Wang Feng's face was a little pale. He looked around, and he was still in the Great Star Doe forest. This must be caused by the remnant aura of the god-slaying spear. However, the god-slaying spear has just taken form. It shouldn't have anything to do with fiend ancestor Rahu. Wang Feng held the spear. He felt as if his mind was being attacked with every passing moment. The ferocious and bloodthirsty demonic aura almost filled Wang Feng's soul. Wang Feng's soul and mind had been burned by the karmic fire of the Red Lotus, so they were extremely pure. They weren't completely engulfed by the terrifying demonic aura. Damn! Luckily, I used the karmic fire of the Red Lotus to temper my body. My soul and mind have been tempered. Only then can I barely withstand the ferocious, demonic aura of the god-slaying spear. Wang Feng's face was pale as he looked at the god-slaying spear. Otherwise, I would have been king dead. Wang Feng didn't know that the god-slaying spear's fourth form was actually the god-slaying spear. However, it seemed like it hadn't been consecrated. Its strength hadn't been maximized. Right now, he was holding the ice-cold, god-slaying spear. Besides the impact on his soul and mind, his body also felt extremely cold. He was really lucky. Wang Feng didn't know. But if one were to look at him from afar, they would find that at this moment his body was surrounded by a faint black mist, causing him to appear incomparably dark and gloomy, causing others' hearts to palpitate. Especially his eyes, they were faintly red. Some of the more cowardly soul masters would have fainted at the sight of it. After a while, Wang Feng managed to get used to it. He was a little agitated. The god-slaying spear's offensive strength might be inferior to the Pango axe. However, it's one of the best treasures out there. Wang Fengxin thought to himself. Wang Feng didn't dare to use the Pango axe as his trump card. Now that he had the god-slaying spear, he could make up for his lack of offensive methods. He didn't have to use his physical body to fight head-on. It felt great to punch and kick, but Wang Feng couldn't take it every time. Next, I need to test the strength of this god-slaying spear. Even if I don't use it, it's consuming my soul power every second. Wang Feng frowned. He could clearly sense that the soul power in his body was rapidly depleting. Furthermore, the demonic aura on the god-slaying spear was too dense. If a normal soul master touched it, he would probably go insane and die. Otherwise, he would be devoured by the god-slaying spear. Fortunately, Wang Feng's physical body and soul could withstand it. It could be said that on this continent, except for Wang Feng, no one else could use the god-slaying spear martial soul. Wait! Suddenly, Wang Feng knew something was wrong. He felt that the mysterious human-shaped martial soul in his Ehai seemed to be attracted by the demonic aura of the god-slaying spear. Oh no! Is this martial soul going to awaken? Wang Feng's pupil shrank. That mysterious human-shaped martial soul had always been in a half-awakened state. It was just missing something. He didn't expect that the fourth form of the god-slaying spear would draw out the human-shaped martial soul. However, after thinking about it, it seemed to be true. That mysterious human-shaped martial soul needed to absorb all kinds of violent killing intent to form. The demonic aura of the god-slaying spear was probably the best nourishment for it. In the next moment, Wang Feng's black robe suddenly fluttered. Fortunately, he didn't use the Pango axe this time. Otherwise, his black robe would have exploded. The 7 lines slowly converged on Wang Feng's limbs. It felt like water flowing through his body, giving Wang Feng an abnormally cold sensation. End of chapter. Chapter 245. Boom! In the next instant, 6 pairs of pitch-black, illusory wings appeared behind Wang Feng's back. Wang Feng's hair started to grow rapidly, and his eyes were filled with an evil aura. If he were to remove his mask, Wang Feng's current appearance would be extremely shocking. The outline of his face changed slightly. It was still very angular, and his facial features seemed to have been meticulously chiseled by the heavens. Every part of his face was beautiful, and even the most beautiful woman would feel ashamed of her inferiority. However, he was filled with an evil aura and gave off an extremely evil feeling. It was as if he wanted to control the most evil order in the world. His originally pale, blood-red eyes had turned a deep, blood-red color. A terrifying aura was being emitted from his body in all directions. However, it wasn't as terrifying as the aura that shook the entire Great Star Doe forest when he used the Pango axe. It only affected his surroundings. At this moment, Wang Feng's body grew even larger. He held a simple, unadorned spear in his hand, and his pitch-black hair swayed in the wind, making him look even more frenzied. He looked like a demon from hell. This human-shaped martial soul is indeed an angel, and it has 12 wings? I don't remember an angel with 12 wings. In the religious myths from my previous life, there were only 6 wings at most. Wang Feng felt as if his entire body was about to explode. Two different forces were attacking his spirit. He could feel that his physical body had become extremely strong, and his strength had increased by at least 3 times. Furthermore, Wang Feng could clearly sense several different auras coming from all directions. Wang Feng's soul power was being depleted rapidly, but he was still trying to sense his current state. 3,000 meters ahead, there are 2 soul kings fighting over soul rings. Both parties are extremely furious. For 1,000 meters to the northeast, there are 2 men and 1 woman. The 2 male soul masters are raping the female soul master. Bastards. At 9 o'clock, 2 6,000-year kings of the earth are eating crazily, and their food seems to be 3 soul masters. 3,000 meters behind me, a soul master is absorbing soul rings. His partner is jealous and seems to want to take the opportunity to attack. 2,000 meters to the left, a male soul master is wailing. He is extremely sad because his partner is about to die. Wang Feng opened his eyes and could sense several auras in the air. They were slowly drifting over from afar. These auras were invisible, but they had color in Wang Feng's eyes. At this moment, he seemed to be able to sense all the ugly things that were happening around here. This angel seems to be completely independent from the angels of the Qianren Xue. It's filled with a cold and evil aura. Wang Feng held his breath and focused his mind, feeling the power at this moment. However, it had to be said that this humanoid martial soul was indeed powerful. Compared to each of the forms that Qing Lian had transformed into, it was not much worse. Somehow, he felt as if he could control something, but he didn't seem to have enough strength. Furthermore, Wang Feng felt that he was constantly being attacked by the evil thoughts of the humanoid martial spirit and the demonic aura of the soul-slaying spear. How lucky! Wang Fengxin thought that regardless of whether it was the god-slaying spear or the mysterious martial soul that had been drawn out, it was still a good thing. It could be said that without the tempering of the karmic fire of the Red Lotus, his soul and mind would not be able to withstand anything. Now that he thought about it, Wang Feng felt that using the Red Lotus hellfire to temper his body and soul was a wise decision. It seems like a 10,000-year soul beast has appeared. It seems like my aura has attracted the nearby soul beasts. Wang Feng's lips curled into a smile. It's time to go deeper and obtain my 4th soul ring. I don't need much. Around 40,000 years will do. Just as Wang Feng was thinking about this, somewhere in the Great Star Doe forest. Your Highness, there are many soul beasts nearby. They seem to be rioting. The person who spoke was an elder. If Wang Feng were here, he would have recognized him. He was one of the 3 education committee members that he had met at the Heaven-Do Imperial Academy, Dream Shinji. Your Highness, why did you come to the Great Star Doe Forest to obtain your 6th soul ring? Ji Lin asked respectfully. Bai Baoshan didn't speak. He only looked at the golden-haired prince in front of him, who was wearing male clothing and a mask. This place is good. The man who was addressed as Your Highness said plainly. There are a few soul beasts in the center of the Great Star Doe Forest that are very dangerous. If we meet them, we can only protect Your Highness and escape with our combined strength. Dream Shinji coughed a few times and said, in comparison, the Setting Sun Forest is much safer. The 3 of them were the education committee members of the Heaven-Do Academy. At the same time, they were also the subordinates of the Heaven-Do Empire's prince, Xue Qinghe. This man was naturally Xue Qinghe. Then all of you can go back. I can do it alone. I'm just looking for a 10,000-year soul beast. The man's eyes narrowed. Obtaining a soul ring was only one of his reasons for coming here. His second reason was to find out why Wang Feng had come to the Great Star Doe Forest. However, it was still dangerous for one person to come here alone. After the 3 education committee members heard about this, they naturally followed him. Even though they were soul Dalu, they didn't dare to say that they could do whatever they wanted in the Great Star Doe Forest. After hearing this, they naturally couldn't leave. If a 60 to 70,000-year soul beast suddenly appeared, they might not be able to handle it. His Highness would be in even more danger. Fortunately, His Highness only needed to find a 20,000-year soul beast. The four of them quickly flashed through the great Stardow forest. With the three soul Daluo's immense senses, they could instantly sense the soul beasts around them. Suddenly, Xueqing stopped in his tracks. "What's wrong, Your Highness?" Dream Shinji and the other two also stopped. Xueqing slowly looked in a certain direction. It was that evil aura again. Furthermore, it was incomparably clear this time. "It's the third time," Xueqing muttered, "and the location this time seems to be the same as the previous time. It's in the Great Stardow Forest. It seems like it's really hidden in the Great Stardow Forest." She had felt this aura more than 7 years ago. She didn't expect it to appear again. It was such a coincidence that it happened to be in the Great Stardow Forest. Furthermore, it was even clearer than the previous 2 times. "Let's go there." Xueqing pointed in a direction. It was the direction where Wang Feng was. She wanted to see what kind of martial soul this aura belonged to. Dream Shinji and the other two didn't say much. They nodded. Just as the four of them were about to leave, the ground suddenly shook violently. A huge soul beast that looked like a beetle burrowed out from the ground. It was huge, at least the size of 2 football fields. It was at least 6 to 7 meters tall. 2 rows of sharp teeth could be seen in its bloody mouth. Its body was covered in black scales, and it looked extremely ugly. There was even a pair of blood-red wings on its back. It was extremely eerie. As this soul beast burrowed out from the ground, 4 auras were released from its body and locked onto the 4 of them. "Not good. It's a blood-winged dragon beetle." Dream Shinji's expression changed. Such a savage soul beast should be deeper in the forest. Why is it here? It should be a 60,000-year blood-winged dragon beetle. Jilin's face was slightly pale. "Your Highness, you should retreat first. We'll block it. With the 3 of us, it's easy to block it. But if it wants to attack you, it'll be troublesome." End of chapter. Chapter 246. The blood-winged dragon beetle was an ancient soul beast. Among the soul beasts, it was an extremely ferocious existence. It would eat any living thing, even if it was its own kind. Not only that, this ferocious soul beast had the ability to fly. Its offensive and defensive abilities were extremely abnormal. Its blood even had the ability to cause people to go crazy and hallucinate. Even a soul sage would fall into a frenzied and furious state after being contaminated by its blood. Eventually, they would burn their life force and die. After death, the blood-winged dragon beetle would obtain its opponent's strength. It was evil and ferocious. It was extremely difficult to deal with. Xueqing frowned as he looked at the blood-winged dragon beetle. He nodded slightly and left decisively. She also wanted to go in that direction alone. What exactly was that aura? It had been more than 7 years. She could not forget the first time she felt that aura and the palpitations she felt. After Xueqing left, the 3-souled Douluo heaved a sigh of relief. "The 3 of you, let's delay this blood-winged dragon beetle for a while. Let Her Highness leave first before we leave." Meng Shinji released his martial soul. 8 soul rings slowly lit up. "Remember, don't get entangled with this beast." The other 2 naturally understood the dangers involved. Killing this old beast was an unrealistic idea, and it was impossible for him to do so. The main reason was that the 3 of them were not assault-type soul masters. Against such a terrifying soul beast, it was still possible to control it for a while. The masked man shuttled through the forest quickly. His eyes were cold. Something's not right. The surrounding soul beasts are getting more and more violent. Could it be because of that aura? Her heart was beating slightly. This time, the aura did not disappear in an instant. It was still there. Strange. Very strange. The previous 2 times, it only appeared for a moment. Not long after, it disappeared. What kind of martial soul is it? Her thoughts were running wild. Even the surrounding soul beasts are getting violent because of it. That blood-winged dragon beetle, just now. Would such a ferocious soul beast be attracted by it? Although my martial soul can restrain it, the difference in strength is too great. Not long after, she felt that the aura was getting closer and closer. At this moment, A soul beast suddenly appeared in front of her and rushed towards her. The man was shocked. She recognized this soul beast. It was a wild flame howling sky tiger. Judging from its aura and size, it should be around 20,000 years old. The man was shocked. Why is it running towards me? The wild flame sky-howling tiger was also an extremely violent soul beast. Its entire body was crimson red, and its body was covered with lines of flame-like patterns. Its mouth could let out a terrifying roar that could cause the surrounding soul beast to fall to the ground in an instant. Even a soul master above rank 60 might not be able to withstand such an attack. At least, even a soul sage who was close to a rank 70 soul sage might not be able to defeat a 20,000-year-old wild flame heavenly tiger. The man seemed to have a good understanding of soul beasts and was able to accurately determine the age of these soul beasts, but she didn't know exactly how old they were. Suddenly, the man was stunned. He looked at the fierce sky tiger that was running towards him from a few hundred meters away. The reason was simple. The fierce sky tiger was injured. There were long black scars on its back that were emitting wisps of mist, revealing large patches of flesh. Its hind legs were lame, and the flames on its body were very weak. It was panting, but it did not make any sound. The strangest thing was that its eyes were filled with fear. What is it that can make such a violent soul beast feel fear? The man was startled, but after thinking for a moment, she did not hesitate and directly revealed her martial soul. A huge and holy power bloomed from her body, and the 6 extraordinary wings of light behind her fluttered slightly. An injured wild flame howling sky tiger. Just right, I can break through at the same time. The man whispered. It was as if she said that breaking through was very easy. 5 soul rings slowly rose from her body. Following that, her 5th purple soul ring suddenly lit up. Divine sword, the man shouted, and a golden flame burned in his hand. The halo of light turned into a flaming long sword that suddenly took shape. Immediately, the man did not stop. He turned into a golden light and directly rushed towards the wild flame howling sky tiger. It seemed to have seen the man's attack. The wild flame howling sky tiger suddenly opened its mouth, which was still dripping with blood, and let out a terrifying howl. Although it was injured, the strength of this wild flame howling sky tiger was still very strong. As it roared, a red wave spread out in all directions. Everywhere it passed, all the trees and shrubs were shattered into pieces. The surrounding terrain seemed to have changed because of this roar. If a tree collapsed, the speed of an ordinary agility-type soul master would be greatly reduced. But the man elegantly dodged, and his reaction was extremely fast and agile. As the golden figure rose and fell, it was not affected by the wild flame howling heaven tiger at all. At this moment, the wild flame howling sky tiger suddenly swung its tail and directly threw a huge rock towards the man who was dodging the tree collapse. This attack was very sudden, and the man obviously could not dodge in time. You're courting death. The man's eyes burned, and the 6 pairs of wings on his back suddenly flickered. His golden eyes were even more majestic, and his body became translucent. When the huge rock came, it actually passed through the man's body and did not cause any damage to him. At this moment, the wild flame howling sky tiger suddenly stopped. Yes, it suddenly stopped. It suddenly froze on the spot. A hint of surprise flashed across the man's eyes. However, taking advantage of this opportunity, his speed increased by a few notches. The long sword in his hand that was burning with golden flames became one with him. He directly drew a golden light in the air and instantly pierced through the body of the wild flame, howling divine tiger. Boom! The man stood behind the wild flame, howling sky tiger, and waved his hand to disperse the golden sword in his hand. The wild flame, howling sky tiger's huge body and black soul rings slowly rose. Strange, why did this wild flame, howling sky tiger suddenly stop charging? She felt a little strange in her heart. Suddenly, she seemed to have sensed something and suddenly turned to the side and looked in that direction. A ghost-like figure was standing there. Seeing this figure, Her pupils suddenly shrank. This was because this figure was surrounded by layers of dark aura. He was wearing a black robe and had a tall figure. He was wearing a mask, and she could not see Rong Ao. Only a pair of blood-red eyes that emitted an evil aura could be seen under the mask. What made her the most shocked was, behind this mysterious figure, there were 6 pairs of incomparably black light shadows that seemed to be surging with energy. The two figures stared at each other, and for a moment, they were both stunned. The aura of the two people seemed to be completely opposite, repelling each other. The man who was surrounded by golden light and had 3 pairs of light shadows on his back, emitting a sacred and supreme power. On the other side, the mysterious figure who was surrounded by black fog emitted an extremely terrifying evil aura. This aura, it's him. Qian Rinxue's mind flashed like lightning. 7 years ago, I felt that aura. And at night, in a chapter. Chapter 247. Qian Rinxue looked at the figure in the distance. While he was shocked, he couldn't help but think quickly. The wild flame, sky, howling tiger was most likely injured by this person, and the reason why it suddenly stopped must be because of this person. But what exactly is his martial spirit? Is it also an angel? But why does it emit such an evil aura? Qian Rinxue looked at the other party with extreme vigilance. The 6-winged angel martial soul was the top martial soul in the continent, but the angel martial soul had always been holy and bright. How could it be tainted with such an evil and cold aura? And the wings on his back, there were 6 pairs of 12 wings? Qian Rinxue was horrified by the extreme rejection and the suppressed aura. At the same time, she also felt a little nervous. My 6-winged angel martial soul is actually suppressed? Qian Rinxue took a few steps back. The other party can actually suppress my 6-winged angel martial soul? How is this possible? No, not only is it suppressed by the evil angel martial soul, but also by the spear in his hand. The more Qian Rinxue sensed, the more shocked he was, because he found that the mysterious black spear in the other party's hand also gave him a terrifying and evil aura that suppressed his 6-winged angel martial soul. Could it be twin martial souls? Qian Rinxue became more and more shocked. Who is this person? Wait, he doesn't have a soul ring? Could it be that he didn't have a soul ring? Did his martial soul just awaken? Qian Rinxue saw clearly that although the other party's body was surrounded by black gas and emitted an extremely evil aura, he didn't have a soul ring. The black wings on his back were also illusory and not solid, which meant that they had just awakened. Who are you? Qian Rinxue thought. Although his martial soul was suppressed, this person didn't have a soul ring. His aura was extremely strange, and his level was unknown. However, he must be very strong to be able to injure the wild flame, sky, howling tiger. What should I do? Kill him? That doesn't seem possible. Leave? Befriend him? The other party's aura was repulsive and extremely evil. He was probably not a good person. It was impossible to befriend him. This evil angel martial soul was innately incompatible with him. If the people in the hall found him, he would definitely be killed immediately. Leave? If he left so quickly, wouldn't it be too wasteful? It took him a lot of effort to find the owner of this auras. At least, he had to figure out this person's identity and his martial soul, Qian Rinxue. But the other party still didn't speak. I have to test this person. Qian Rinxue took a deep breath and did not look at the wild flame howling heavenly tiger's black soul ring. Absorbing the soul ring now was simply courting death. The next moment, divine sword. Qian Rinxue once again condensed a long sword that was burning with golden flames in her hand. This was her angel, angel martial, angel's lock. Qian Rinxue's body suddenly lit up. Strands of light extended from her body to the other party's body from the ground. The strands of golden light enveloped the dark figure's body, forming a golden chain. It was sometimes visible. This was her 4th soul skill. It could lock and trap the enemy. It was a single-target soul skill and could weaken all the enemy's attributes. These 2 soul skills only lasted for 2 seconds. In the next moment, Qian Rinxue rushed towards the other party. It was extremely fast. The other party didn't move. It seemed to be bound by the golden chain. But when Qian Rinxue was only a few meters away, the other party suddenly moved. The mysterious figure broke free and broke her fourth soul skill. The golden chain turned into a golden dot and disappeared in the air. "You can't beat me," the figure said indifferently. His voice was hoarse, and he didn't sound young anymore. Qian Rinxue was stunned. The soul rings on her body lit up a few times. The long sword in her hand drew a golden arc in the air and landed in the other party's hand. The figure didn't dodge, and the long sword landed on the other party's shoulder. The golden flames burned fiercely, but it couldn't hurt the other party at all. On the contrary, the golden flames on the long sword became smaller and smaller. It was extinguished. Qian Rinxue. Immediately after, the other party's foot landed on his lower abdomen at lightning speed. Qian Rinxue's expression changed, and she was sent flying. What terrifying strength! A light flashed through her mind. Qian Rinxue, who was sent flying, quickly changed her posture in the air. Finally, she stabbed her long sword into the ground and forcefully stopped herself from being sent flying. She stomped her feet on the ground and left 2 marks that were dozens of meters long on the ground before she slowly came to a stop. Qian Rinxue coughed and stared at the figure in front of her. She was countered. The other party's evil angel martial soul was of a higher grade and completely countered her 6-winged angel martial soul. Darkness and light. No one completely countered each other. Light countered darkness, but darkness countered light. It was just a matter of whose martial soul was of a higher grade. The 6-winged angel martial soul is already the top martial soul. What kind of martial soul is it? Qian Rinxue was a little absent-minded. The other party didn't even have a soul ring. He countered her directly and made it difficult for her to use her strength. At this moment, TSK, this kick is quite comfortable. Wang Fengxin laughed secretly. In theory, the current Qian Rinxue was not much different from his current state. His 2 martial souls, the 4th form soul slaying spear and the 12-winged dark angel, didn't have a soul ring. Even if they awakened and possessed, they wouldn't be much stronger than Qian Rinxue. Unfortunately, the 12-winged dark angel martial soul was of a higher grade and countered the other party. The movement of the surrounding soul beasts was also caused by his dark angel martial soul. He wanted to go into the depths of the forest just now, but the wild flame howling heavenly tiger was too bold and attacked him. Wang Feng was also happy to try his strength in this state. In the end, he didn't expect the soul-slaying spear to be so strong. Although his soul-slaying heavenly tiger consumed a lot of soul power, this 20,000-year wild flame howling heavenly tiger was completely suppressed by him. Just as it was about to die, Wang Feng was stunned and let the beast run away. And the reason why he was stunned was naturally because he felt a familiar aura coming in this direction. Until he saw this Qian Rinxue, the masked man he saw before, fighting with the wild flame howling heavenly tiger. Wang Feng was stunned on the spot. Based on the aura, Wang Feng could clearly sense that the other party was Qian Rinxue. But why is she here? Before he could figure out, the other party attacked. Wang Feng was happy again. More than a year ago, he met this Qian Rinxue in the Great Soul Arena. At that time, he couldn't have a big fight with the other party because of some reasons. Then, in Heaven-Do City's Shrek Academy, the other party came to find him. In Heaven-Do Imperial Academy, he heard the other party whispering to see Rome. Listening to the tone, there was a hint of a female villain. It was probably the kind of arrogant, calm, and feeling that everything was under control. She even threatened Si Rong to kill him. Although she didn't really want to kill him, Wang Feng was still a little unhappy. Unexpectedly, end of chapter. Chapter 248. I can't let her die like this. There are too many variables if she dies. I'm not strong enough right now. Even a titled Douluo would find it hard to defeat me, and I'm only at the 40th rank. Wang Feng thought about it and walked to Qian Rinxue's side. What do you want to do? Qian Rinxue said coldly. Wang Feng didn't say anything else and directly carried Qian Rinxue on his shoulder. Then, he glanced at the truck-like frenzy heaven howling tiger and dragged it with one hand as he quickly walked deeper into the forest. The blood-winged draconic beetle seemed to have noticed Wang Feng's presence and rushed towards him. Unfortunately, Wang Feng's speed was too fast. For the sake of speed, Wang Feng directly removed the Qianming armor and increased his speed by several times. Wang Feng carried Qian Rinxue and frantically ran deeper into the forest, but the sound of the earthquake still came from behind. Wang Feng could feel that his aura had been locked on. No matter how fast he was, he couldn't escape the opponent's line of sight. We can't keep running like this. Wang Feng furrowed his brows. The aura of a 60,000-year spirit beast was locked on. Even if Wang Feng concealed his dark angel martial soul, he couldn't avoid it. This wasn't Erming. Erming didn't kill them back then because of Xiao Wu. This blood-winged dragon beetle was different. And Qian Rinxue on Wang Feng's shoulder had long since been stupefied when Wang Feng lifted her up. Why did this person save me? Qian Rinxue's mind was in a mess. This trip was second only to the time when she sneaked into the Heaven Do Empire. She didn't find that kid called Wang Feng. Instead, she found the aura that caused her heart to palpitate 7 years ago. She even saw the person in person. Although she didn't know who it was, she was still beaten up. Now, she was actually saved by the other party. She was frantically escaping from the blood-winged dragon beetle's pursuit. Qian Rinxue could clearly sense the aura locked on by the blood-winged dragon beetle. It would be great if there was something that could block my aura. Wait for me to recover. I'll kill you, smelly bug, with my ancient axe. Wang Feng panted slightly. Unknowingly, Wang Feng felt that his consumption was slowly increasing. His soul power was slowly becoming empty. At this time, Wang Feng concealed his soul-slaying spear. However, he didn't dare to remove the dark angel martial soul from his body. Once he removed it, his speed would be greatly reduced. He would definitely be eaten by the blood-winged dragon beetle. At this time, he also couldn't count on the meteoric tear, because even if he reached his limit before he had time to recover, he would definitely be eaten in one bite. Everything needed time. Qian Rinxue was silent. She could also feel that her soul power was rapidly depleting. She might not be able to hold on for much longer. The blood-winged dragon beetle behind was getting closer and closer. It began to fly into the air, adding on the aura lock. Even if Wang Feng was faster than it, there wouldn't be too much of a gap. Put me down, Qian Rinxue said indifferently. Don't tell me you think I can run much faster if I put you down? With your physique, it'll be gone in one bite. You won't even be able to stop it for a second. Wang Feng couldn't help laughing hoarsely. If you were a spirit beast right now, maybe I could throw you out and let it eat a few more bites. Qian Rinxue was speechless. With that, Wang Feng threw the wild flame howling sky tiger in his hand at the blood-winged dragon beetle. As expected, the dragon beetle was slightly taken aback when it saw the wild flame howling sky tiger. It opened its mouth wide and swallowed it. The sound of chewing was unusually loud, making Qian Rinxue's entire body go numb. But such a huge wild flame howling sky tiger didn't slow down the dragon beetle's speed. It continued to chew as it charged at Wang Feng. Do you see that? You're not even a tenth of the wild flame howling sky tiger's size. If you throw it in, you'll probably turn into its feces. Wang Feng's hoarse voice carried a hint of mockery. Qian Rinxue was silent for a moment. Then let's die together. Die my ass. I don't want to die, Wang Feng thought to himself. They were about to reach the depths. According to Wang Feng's plan, he would run towards the depths and reach Deming and Erming's side. The crisis would naturally be resolved. Erming knew him. For better or worse, he was also Xiao Wu's friend, right? It was better than falling into this bug's mouth. Secondly, if he could get something good by punching in, he could also avoid the crisis. Both could solve this crisis. Seeing Wang Feng not speaking, Qian Rinxue also became silent. There was only the sound of the wind whistling in her ears. It was the first time she was carried on someone's shoulder like this. Qian Rinxue didn't feel much. The crisis of death made her think too much. After a long time, feeling that the dragon beetle was getting closer, Qian Rinxue suddenly asked in a low voice, "What's your name?" Wang Feng didn't reply. The trees in front of them suddenly became denser. The terrain was steep and undulating. The weak soul beasts in the surroundings had long since been scared away by the aura of the dragon beetle. Not long after, Wang Feng suddenly saw a small cave in front of them. Without any hesitation, Wang Feng directly threw Qian Rinxue in. It's useless. The dragon beetle can sense us. However, Wang Feng didn't say anything. The cave was dark. Qian Rinxue couldn't see clearly, but she knew that Wang Feng had also entered. Grab me, Wang Feng said in a low voice. Qian Rinxue was stunned. She could only grab his shoulder. At this moment, a bone-like bone crown suddenly appeared on Wang Feng's head. It faintly emitted a strange light. Following that, their auras seemed to melt into the darkness and disappeared. Roar, roar, roar. At this time, the dragon beetle's violent roar came from outside. It seemed to be angry that its prey had disappeared. It had obviously chased them all the way here, but the aura actually disappeared. As if it was unwilling, the blood-clad dragon beetle kept roaring in the sky. Qian Rinxue's heart was pounding. She was a little confused. It seems that the dragon beetle's aura that had locked onto us has disappeared. How did it do that? After a while, the roar slowly disappeared. Seeing this, Qian Rinxue heaved a sigh of relief. Wang Feng's eyes were slightly focused in front of him. He thought to himself, that was too dangerous. Because just now, ding, congratulations on successfully using the Lord card. You have obtained a mysterious soul bone. Please feel it yourself. The host has a 30,000-year soul ring. You have obtained an additional reward. The age of the soul ring has increased to 2,000 years. Please choose. Ding. The next time you clock in, Supreme Pontiff Palace. There are no requirements, but there is an additional reward. After more than a year, finally, the sound of a clocking could be heard. And this time, what he obtained was a mysterious soul bone given by the system. It was the skull soul bone that Wang Feng had just attached to his head. The moment he obtained it, Wang Feng did not know what other uses it had, but he knew that it was to conceal his aura. The products of the system were all of high quality. Wang Feng did not doubt it. He did not expect that this time it would actually give him a skull soul bone. The skull soul bone was considered the rarest after the external soul bone and the torso soul bone. This soul bone looked a little like Sun Wukong's golden hoop spell. It looked a little strange wearing it on his head. It was even black. In the darkness, it was hard to tell. End of this chapter. Chapter 249. The moment it appeared, Wang Feng immediately used it to shield his and Qian Rinxue's aura. It seemed that as long as it touched him, it could be shielded. However, it consumed a lot of spiritual power. Both of them seemed to be covered in a layer of transparent energy cloak. It was this energy cloak that blocked the dragon beetle's aura. Wang Feng heaved a sigh of relief. When I recover, I'll study this soul bone and then find the dragon beetle for revenge. In the pitch-black cave, both of them didn't speak. They could only hear each other's heartbeats. Wang Feng's dark humanoid martial soul was also removed. A 60,000-year spirit beast, and an extremely powerful and savage one at that. Wang Feng didn't expect to be chased by such a powerful spirit beast. It seems like I should use this dark angel martial soul as little as possible. Furthermore, it seems like this martial soul needs some special nourishment to improve. Wang Feng thought to himself. He was a little afraid of this dark angel martial soul. It was too easy to lose one's rationality due to its ice-cold and evil aura. The demonic aura of the soul-slaying spear was already very troublesome. Now, there was a dark angel martial soul. Although it was very powerful, it was too troublesome. In fact, the soul-slaying spear was still fine. After a long time, Qian Rinxue seemed to regain her senses. Wang Feng could vaguely smell a faint fragrance. He didn't know if it was coming from Qian Rinxue. Wang Feng didn't say much. After concealing the skull bone, he took out a bunch of things from his soul tool, including flint and combustibles. Not long after, the fire was lit up in the cave. Wang Feng also saw Qian Rinxue. The swollen parts of her body that he had hit seemed to have recovered. Evidently, her martial soul's recovery ability wasn't bad. Furthermore, Wang Feng didn't hit her too hard, so she recovered very quickly. It was just that her face was a little pale and her long hair was slightly loose. But because she was dressed as a man, she looked a little weird. Wang Feng didn't know if she had used some special method to change her appearance. Was this her original appearance? Let's rest for a day. We'll go our separate ways tomorrow, Wang Feng said casually. Qian Renxue looked at Wang Feng. No matter how fast he had run, his mask still hadn't fallen off. That terrifying dark angel martial soul had also disappeared, and he had returned to his normal size. In the faint firelight, Qian Renxue could only see the general shape of the other party. It was a little smaller than when he had used martial soul possession. How'd you do it just now? You blocked the dragon beetle's perception? Qian Renxue suddenly asked. Wang Feng looked at her, but didn't answer. How could he tell Qian Renxue about the skull? It was already good enough that he could save her life. Moreover, he didn't have time to carefully sense it, and he didn't want to reveal the skull in front of Qian Renxue. There was still a fire, and it could be seen clearly when it was released. Seeing that Wang Feng didn't say anything, Qian Renxue didn't ask anymore. After a moment of silence, she slowly asked, My surname is Xue, and I'm called Xue Renqian. What's your name? Wang Feng thought for a moment and replied indifferently with a hoarse voice. My name is Feng Yuxiao. Hearing that, Qian Renxue muttered a few words. She didn't find it strange, and it was a very normal name. Why did you save me? Qian Renxue stared at Wang Feng. Because I didn't want to kill you, Wang Feng said. Qian Renxue was stunned for a moment. I know you didn't want to kill me, but what does that have to do with you saving me? Your martial spirit is special. If you were eaten by this spirit beast, it would mutate and become stronger. I'm afraid I wouldn't even have the chance to escape. Seeing that Qian Renxue was in a daze, Wang Feng opened his mouth and spoke nonsense. That makes sense. I overlooked this point. However, Qian Renxue nodded. Wang Feng, no matter what, I still have to thank you. You saved my life. I will remember it. Qian Renxue said indifferently. Oh right, it's best not to casually release your martial spirit in the future. Otherwise, it will cause a very large disturbance. Dark Angel Martial Spirit? If it was released outside, Spirit Hall would definitely be the first to capture him. One must know that Spirit Hall's consecrated Grand Elder Qian Dalu had the Seraphim Martial Spirit. Qian clan could be said to have inherited the Angel Martial Spirit. If this kind of incomparably opposite evil and dark martial spirit appeared, it would definitely be captured by Spirit Hall. And then, however, Qian Renxue felt that even though the opponent's dark angel martial spirit restrained him, there was still a vague special power attracting him. Wang Feng didn't reply. These words didn't need Qian Renxue to say, he also knew. At this moment, a gurgling sound suddenly rang out. This was the sound of a hungry stomach. Qian Renxue's face turned red. Don't you have food in your soul, tool? Wang Feng asked. Food is with my subordinates. Qian Renxue shook her head. My soul tool very rarely has food. I couldn't tell. You're still a young master. Wang Feng's voice was hoarse, and he laughed. As he spoke, he took out the dry rations prepared in his soul tool and handed it to Qian Renxue. Qian Renxue took it but didn't eat it. Why do you still suspect that it's poisonous? Wang Feng shook his head and directly ate it. This dry rations were meat patties, which could be eaten after being roasted over the fire. Seeing this, Qian Renxue ate in small bites. In the past, as someone who often came to the Great Star Doe Forest to fight soul beasts, Wang Feng naturally prepared all kinds of dry rations. That dragon beetle should still be nearby. We have to stay in this cave for a day or two, Wang Feng said casually. He planned to recover and recuperate, and after leaving with Qian Renxue tomorrow, he would find that dragon beetle and fight it out. Yes, Qian Renxue didn't say much. After eating, Wang Feng sized up the cave. This cave wasn't big, and it should be the resting place of some kind of soul beast, but it should be dead. There were only a few bones on the ground, and some weathered feces. Look at this feces. It should be the nest of the goldbiter rats, but they should be dead, killed by other soul beasts. Wang Feng sized up the surroundings and said, This kind of weak-souled beast nest won't attract strong-souled beasts for the time being. His current understanding of soul beasts wasn't inferior to grandmasters, or even better. After all, he was actually fighting with soul beasts, and not just in theory. You know a lot. Have you always lived here? Qian Renshua asked curiously. She remembered that the last time she sensed the other's spirit aura, it seemed to be in the direction of the starred Do Great Forest. Why are you asking so much? Wang Feng laughed cruelly. Why should I tell you? Forget it if you don't want to say. Qian Renshua wasn't angry, and shook her head indifferently. After eating, the two of them did their own things. Qian Renshua didn't have much spirit power left, and naturally closed her eyes to meditate and recover. Wang Feng began to sense that skull's information. He had used it in a hurry just now, and with this slight sensing, Wang Feng felt a terrifying spiritual force surge out of this skull, instantly attacking his mind. This skull, I'm afraid it's not simple. Wang Feng was slightly startled. Ordinary spirit bones all had abilities. Just now, this skull's first ability, Wang Feng had already used it. Similar to concealing one's aura. It could block the aura of 60,000-year spirit beasts. That was to say, at least it could completely conceal the aura of a spirit doll. The key wasn't just concealing one's own. It could also conceal others. End of this chapter. Chapter 250. Speaking of which, if I use the karmic fire of the Red Lotus to refine my entire body, I should be able to achieve the same effect, right? But I can't help others. Wang Feng thought about it and decided to name the first soul skill Fog Concealment, because when he used it, his entire body would be shrouded in a layer of faint energy fog. As for the second soul skill, Wang Feng could also feel it. Since it had a second soul skill, it meant that this skull was at least 100,000 years old. The second soul skill was perception. To be more precise, it was to perceive the opponent's martial soul, soul ring, and strength. Wait, this skull doesn't look like a soul beast from the Douluo world. Wang Feng muttered. The appearance of this skull was a bit like a band-tightening spell, but in the middle, there were two more pointed tentacles, which looked better. Also, the size was slightly bigger, and it looked more like a crown. The system was too mysterious, and he had to study everything it gave him. But it was also quite interesting. Wang Feng's mind moved, and the skull slowly appeared. His eyes stared at Qian Renshua in an instant. A series of information appeared in his mind. Martial soul, seraphim martial soul rings. 2 yellow, 2 purple, 1 black. Level 60. The information seemed simple, but made Wang Feng's eyes flash. Because Wang Feng could vaguely feel that he could see the opponent's soul skill for the second soul skill. But because his spiritual power wasn't strong enough, the degree of information was dependent on his spiritual power, and the difference in soul power was too big. It was also at this time. Qian Renshua opened her eyes. Seeing this, Wang Feng quickly hid the spirit bone. Qian Renshua looked at Wang Feng and frowned. Did you look at me just now? I didn't. No, you saw it. I felt it. Hearing this, Wang Feng said inwardly, it seemed that the difference in soul level was easy for the opponent to notice. Thinking about it, I'm rank 40, she's rank 60. A bit of detection is very normal. You didn't look at me. How did you know I was looking at you? Wang Feng didn't want to admit it. Don't interrupt, Qian Renshua said indifferently. Did you have some intention just now? Qian Renshua rarely felt the feeling of being seen through by the opponent. Even a spirit Douluo couldn't see through her disguise. But just now, Qian Renshua actually had a kind of illusion of being seen through. This wasn't something that could be done with just a few glances. You're a man. What intention could I have? Wang Feng sneered a few times. Qian Renshua was silent. Seems so. He doesn't know my identity, and even more doesn't know my disguise. To be precise, he's never even seen me. What intention could he have? Could it be that just now was a kind of illusion? Qian Renshua didn't think about it. At this time, night fell. Wang Feng took out the outdoor bedding from his spirit tool. The inside of this cave was full of bumps and hollows. All kinds of expressions this day made Wang Feng's mind a bit tired. The main thing was that the impact of the two spirits was too strong, plus the escape. Even Wang Feng was somewhat unable to bear it. He thought to himself that he would sleep today and properly recover, then go look for that dragon beetle tomorrow. Qian Rinxue watched from the side, only inwardly thinking, Meng Shunji's trio should be looking for me everywhere right now, right? The three of them shouldn't have died. They should have only blocked that dragon beetle for a while. Tired, Wang Feng glanced at Qian Rinxue. He naturally also saw the fatigue on her face. Speaking of it, this Qian Rinxue had first rushed for a day, then was ruthlessly beaten by him, beaten until she didn't have any strength, and then there was a bout of bumpy escape. Her mental fluctuations weren't any less than his. Do you want to give it to me? Qian Rinxue looked at the clean bedding Wang Feng had laid out and said in a low voice. Right now, she also wanted to sleep. In your dreams. Go sleep on the rock by yourself. I don't have that good of a relationship with you. Wang Feng said unhappily. Qian Rinxue's elegant brows stood erect, but the calm temperament cultivated over the years prevented her from getting angry, and she also didn't have the qualifications to get angry. Touching the ice-cold rock, Qian Rinxue spread some licorice and also lay down. Glancing out of the corner of her eye, she discovered that this Feng Yuxiu had already fallen into a deep sleep. This person is too mysterious. Qian Rinxue carefully thought about today's scenes. Looking at the circumstances, he seemed to have twin spirits, no spirit rings, and his rank was also a mystery. But he could completely suppress her. After being beaten up, Qian Rinxue had nothing to say because she was the one who attacked first. But she didn't expect that later on. He was able to escape with her from the mouth of the blood-winged dragon beetle. At the end, could it be a kind of spirit skill that shielded his aura? Why didn't he use it earlier? What kind of spirit skill can even shield the aura of a 60,000-year spirit beast from locking on? Qian Rinxue thought in her heart. She was very smart. But at this moment, she felt that the man who was only 2 hands away from her was extremely mysterious. This is the first man who slept so close to me, and a complete stranger. Qian Rinxue had a different kind of thought in her heart. Thinking about it, it still felt a little absurd, but it happened again. Fortunately, the other party didn't know that she was a woman. Although the ground was covered with licorice, these bumpy stones really made Qian Rinxue a little uncomfortable. However, Qian Rinxue only slightly frowned and didn't say anything. The bonfire that was still emitting residual heat had already slowly extinguished, and the temperature gradually became cold. Qian Rinxue didn't feel cold, but her heart was slightly cold. Tomorrow morning, I hope that the dragon beetle will disappear from the vicinity. Qian Rinxue slowly closed her eyes. At this time, Wang Feng suddenly stood up and said in a deep voice, I thought about it. This is the depths of the forest. Although this cave is very hidden, if both of us sleep, it will still be easy for us to be attacked by spirit beasts. You sleep here first, I will go and keep watch for a while. After 3 hours, I will wake you up, you will keep watch, and I will sleep. After saying that, Wang Feng walked out of the cave. Hearing this, Qian Rinxue opened her eyes and was startled. However, the other party was so vigilant and steady. Qian Rinxue admired him in her heart. After thinking for a while, Qian Rinxue walked to the bedding that the other party had laid out. Suddenly, her face became slightly rosy. Because the bedding had a trace of warmth, it was clearly left by the other party. Lying down, Qian Rinxue slightly relaxed. Having a bedding was really different. It was much more comfortable. Very soon, Qian Rinxue fell into a deep sleep. On the 3rd day, when Qian Rinxue woke up, she discovered that the sky was already bright. Seeing this, Qian Rinxue was startled and suddenly got up. Feng Yuxiu, she called out slightly. The cave was already somewhat bright, but she still didn't hear any reply. Left. Qian Rinxue stared blankly. You didn't wake me up? Directly left? Suddenly, Qian Rinxue felt a bit disappointed, immediately shaking her head. At this time, a silhouette walked in from outside. Oh, you're awake? The newcomer was Wang Feng. He glanced at Qian Rinxue and couldn't help scolding. Why did you sleep like a pig? I couldn't wake you up last night. I had to meditate outside for the whole night. Wang Feng walked in, holding a roasted little rabbit in his hand. Qian Renshua looked at Wang Feng, suddenly feeling a bit embarrassed. Could it be that she slept very deeply last night? He didn't wake her up? Wang Feng walked over, placing the little rabbit in front of Qian Renshua, saying indifferently, eat it, and we can leave for the time being." Qian Renshua looked at the little rabbit, frowning. "I'm a vegetarian, this little rabbit," but she still hadn't finished speaking. "I'll throw it away if you don't eat it." So much bullshit. Wang Feng's hoarse voice directly cut her off, without the slightest consideration for her. Qian Renshua thought about it, but still started eating. While eating, Qian Renshua looked at Wang Feng, but discovered that Wang Feng was full of energy, not like he hadn't rested for the whole night, and couldn't help feeling slightly astonished. She didn't know that last night, when Wang Feng was keeping watch, he studied the skull bone for the whole night, and the more he studied, the more spirited he became. Because the effect of this skull spirit bone was much greater than Wang Feng had imagined. Apart from the two spirit skills, it also provided an extremely strong spirit amplification, as well as a strong spirit recovery ability. All right, what do you plan to do later? Qian Renshua glanced at Wang Feng. Although she still couldn't see its appearance, it was inexplicably much more pleasing to the eye. This roasted little rabbit was also more delicious than imagined. Hunting spirit beasts. Wang Feng said indifferently. What kind of spirit beasts are you hunting? Why don't we go together? It just so happens that I also want to hunt. Qian Renshua's eyes slightly brightened. However, Wang Feng's next words made Qian Renshua dumbfounded. I want to hunt blood-winged dragon beetles. Are you sure you want to come together? 10-Night Watch, end of this chapter. Chapter 251. P.S. The ending of the previous chapter was slightly changed, but the chapter name couldn't be changed, so it wasn't changed. Wang Feng didn't intend to tell Qian Renshua about hunting blood-winged dragon beetles, and it was also impossible for him to go hunting blood-winged dragon beetles or other soul beasts with Qian Renshua, exposing himself. After eating, it was about time for the two to go their separate ways. And when Qian Renshua heard Wang Feng say this, she knew that he definitely wanted to go hunting soul beasts and wasn't willing to tell, so she naturally wouldn't ask. Where's my bedding? Wang Feng walked over and was just about to put the bedding away, but he discovered that Qian Renshua had already taken a step ahead of him and put it away. What? I saved your life, and you eat a meal of mine. You even want my bedding? Wang Feng snorted coldly. I slept on this bedding. Qian Renshua's indifferent tone made Wang Feng feel something inside again. But speaking up to here, Qian Renshua still added a sentence. Give it to me. Wang Feng laughed sarcastically and said, take it if you want it. He reckoned that Qian Renshua thought she had slept on it, and that there was her aura on it, so she didn't want to give it to anyone else. Finished speaking, Wang Feng directly walked out of the cave. Just as he was about to leave, he heard Qian Renshua suddenly speak up. Feng Yuxiu, I will remember the favor of saving my life. You'd better forget. Wang Feng disappeared from Qian Renshua's line of sight. Qian Renshua stared blankly, then suddenly smiled. Fortunately, Wang Feng wasn't here. If he was, perhaps he would be astonished that Qian Renshua's current smile really had a bit of that number one beauty's flavor. Qian Renshua touched the bedding, then folded it neatly and put it away in her spirit tool. Walking out of the cave, she only felt the sun shining brightly, the air fresh, making her mind shake, her mood especially good. Not long after, Qian Renshua found 3 titled Dalu as she walked. Your Highness, it's all our fault. Fortunately, you're all right. We searched for you through the night, still thought you. When Meng Xinji saw Qian Renshua, he was truly alarmed. Yesterday, they had only resisted that blood-wing armor dragon for a while, and then couldn't resist any longer. Because if they continued to resist, perhaps their lives would be in danger. In addition, Her Highness had also left, so they directly withdrew. But there was no trace of Her Highness, which really gave them a fright. After searching for most of the night, they still didn't find any trace. They were also afraid of disturbing the other variant devil beasts in Star Do Great Forest, so they didn't go deep into the search and planned to search a few more years after daybreak. They didn't expect Her Highness to directly return. "I'm fine." Qian Renxue waved her hand indifferently, then glanced at them. "Let's go. First find a suitable spirit beast. Then we'll return to Heaven Do City." On this trip, they didn't find any traces of that kid Wang Feng, but it didn't matter. In any case, coming here was enough to obtain the sixth spirit ring. At the same time, Wang Feng used this skull to sense the auras around him. Coupled with the soul bone's misty shadow soul skill, he could almost stealthily approach many 10,000-year soul beasts. It was as if he was invisible. This skull was indeed powerful. This misty shadow soul skill could conceal his entire body. This kind of concealment wasn't one with heaven and earth, but completely disappeared. Even 20 to 30,000 year soul beasts wouldn't be detected unless they were within 5 meters of the other party. But 5 meters short, Wang Feng could directly cause a large amount of damage to the other party with just one step. It was negligible. Along the way, Wang Feng tested many soul beasts, and they were all the same. Furthermore, the soul bone's second soul skill, perception, could clearly sense the age of these soul beasts. Even if he didn't activate his dark angel martial soul, he could still sense soul beasts thousands of meters away. If it was a dangerous soul beast, Wang Feng could sense it immediately and leave. With this skull, my safety will be greatly increased in the future. Wang Feng took a deep breath. This skull doesn't have a name yet. I'll give it a name myself. How about the Black Hoop Spiritual Skull? This name wasn't too fancy. Black referred to the black color of the skull. Hoop referred to the golden hoop spell, and spiritual referred to the fact that this skull could provide Wang Feng with an endless stream of spiritual power, allowing his brain to stay awake at all times. Using this skull, Wang Feng was like a fish in water in the great Star Do forest. He sensed the dragon beetle while sensing the powerful magical beasts nearby, and he stealthily avoided them. Not long after, Wang Feng sensed the dragon beetle. Its mountain-like body was in front, and it seemed to be taking a nap. It was the size of 2 basketball courts, and its size wasn't inferior to Erming's. Even though it was taking a nap, this dragon beetle still emitted an extremely terrifying aura. It breathed in and out a bloody mist, and the wings on its back would occasionally flap, flashing through the air like a bloody shadow. In fact, it was very easy to find this blood-winged dragon beetle. This was because there wasn't a single soul beast within a kilometer of this extremely ferocious soul beast. It wasn't like the sky blue bull python or the titan giant ape, which were slightly more gentle and wouldn't wantonly kill. Soul beasts were like humans. There were good and bad ones. Furthermore, this blood-winged dragon beetle's temperament couldn't be tamed. Wang Feng took a deep breath. He was still several hundred meters away from this blood-winged dragon beetle. Even though he used misty shadow to conceal his aura, Wang Feng didn't dare to get too close. Divine transformation. Wang Feng first activated his golden lotus and secretly cast divine transformation on himself. Lotus of Thorns. As the black lotus spun, Wang Feng's defense increased by another level. As soon as he used these 2 soul skills, an aura that could be seen with the naked eye spread out from Wang Feng's body. Wang Feng didn't plan to use other soul skills to harass this blood-winged dragon beetle. The reason was simple. It would be a waste of soul power. Even if he could injure this blood-winged dragon beetle, it wouldn't be fatal. Instead, it would be a waste of soul power. At a time like this, Wang Feng naturally had to make the most of his soul power. He used it all on Panga's axe. Even his dark angel martial soul was useless. With his rank 40 soul power, his black lotus should be able to activate Panga's axe. Wang Feng's body was covered in a layer of white mist, and his entire body was shining with golden light. He stared coldly at the blood-winged dragon beetle in front of him. 3 pitch-black soul rings shone brightly on his body. Yes, his first soul ring had also been upgraded to a 1,000-year soul ring. The system's additional reward was an increase of 2,000 years, which directly upgraded his first soul ring to a 10,000-year one. Wang Feng upgraded his first soul ring to a 10,000-year one last night, when Qianren was resting. This was also the reason why he wanted to keep watch at night. Otherwise, it would be easy to attract attention. Other than increasing his own strength, the biggest effect of the upgrade was naturally the upgrade of his soul skills. Right now, his divine soul skill increased all his attributes by 4 times. Other than the various effects from before, such as immunity to poison, immunity to pain, and the additional paralysis effect when attacking, there was also an additional effect, immunity to all conditions. To put it simply, he was now not controlled by any soul skills, and he was not threatened by any aura. It could be considered a complete divine soul skill. Wang Feng reckoned that if he upgraded it again, this soul skill might even be able to avoid death. When that time came, coupled with a meteoric tear, he reckoned that he would really be an unkillable cockroach. Fortunately, each of my forms is independent, and my soul rings can be revealed individually. Otherwise, with an all-black soul ring that's not even 14 years old, Wang Feng thought to himself, I'm afraid that I'll be captured by all the major forces on the continent for research. In theory, it wasn't impossible to have an all-black soul ring, but it seemed that it would only be possible to have one in the later stages of the divine trial. All right, Wang Feng took a few deep breaths. With the divine soul skill, even if this was a 100,000-year soul beast, it would not be able to use its aura to suppress him. Then, Wang Feng turned his palm, held his breath, and concentrated. In his other hand, the Pangu axe quietly appeared. Pangu axe. End of this chapter. Chapter 252. Like 10,000 streams returning to the sea, the soul power crazily poured into this ordinary-looking axe. In the next moment, an incomparably bright pillar of light soared into the sky from Wang Feng's body. After this pillar of light, the originally bright sky was suddenly covered by dark clouds and lightning flashed. The lightning that streaked across the sky seemed as if it was going to split the sky apart. With Wang Feng as the center, a hurricane-like airwave spread out in all directions. In an instant, the surrounding trees were directly uprooted from the ground. The black robe and mask on his body were completely shattered. His originally sparkling and translucent skin and jade-like bones were now filled with blood as they were filled with the terrifying power of the Pangu axe. Countless blood traces overflowed from Wang Feng's body. This was because the blood vessels in his skin were completely unable to withstand this power. That was why they appeared on the surface of his skin as if they were being squeezed. Even his face was covered with various tiny blood vessels. Fortunately, this time his entire body did not explode inch by inch like the last time. Even his consciousness was incomparably clear. His black hoop spirit skull directly appeared, preventing Wang Feng from being confused by the power of the Pangu axe. On the contrary, Wang Feng could now feel the power of the Pangu axe. Clear, powerful, invincible. After being tempered by the karmic fire of the Red Lotus, his spirit, soul, and skull had far surpassed the state when he used the Pangu axe the last time. This meant that he could accurately display the power of the Pangu axe. Looking at the Pangu axe that was about to condense, a trace of heat flashed in Wang Feng's eyes. At this time, the blood-winged dragon beetle, which was taking a nap, was naturally awakened by this aura. Moreover, at this time, the fog shadow soul skill of Wang Feng's skull was already unable to conceal Wang Feng's current aura. The aura brought by the Pangu axe was too terrifying, and it was simply impossible to conceal. Similarly, the blood-winged draconic beetle spotted Wang Feng's position almost immediately. It roared angrily and directly attacked Wang Feng. It was also at this time the Pangu axe martial soul had already condensed. It had turned into a real axe. When the axe gently landed on Wang Feng's palm, boom, boom, boom. In the next moment, the light pillar on Wang Feng's body seemed to expand several times. An aura that caused all living beings to feel fear. From the light pillar, it covered the entire Great Stardow Forest. Countless soul beasts crawled on the ground as if they were on a pilgrimage, looking at the light pillar. Even those soul beasts that were tens of thousands of years old also let out roars towards the direction of the light pillar. Their roars were filled with fear and dread. Time passed, and Wang Feng once again condensed the Pango axe. The moment he held it in his hand, an aura that seemed to split the heavens, the sun, and the moon, and shatter the mountains and rivers, violently emitted from his body. The spontaneous airflow caused Wang Feng's hair to whistle and fly around chaotically, adding to his cold and wild aura. Looking at the attacking blood-winged dragon beetle, Wang Feng's face was expressionless. Immediately after, he stomped his foot, and the ground cracked inch by inch. His entire body was like a blood-colored lightning bolt, bringing along the light pillar. With a posture that seemed to be able to split Mount Hua, he simply and unpretentiously chopped at the flying blood-winged dragon beetle with his axe. In the sky, streaks of lightning struck down along the light pillar, shining brightly as if they were afraid of this terrifying power. This axe seemed to split the heavens and the earth. A terrifying wave of air blew in all directions from midair. From afar, it looked like a blood-colored ball of light, flickering with lightning, rising up and then falling down. Roar! The blood-winged dragon beetle let out an angry roar filled with fear. At this moment, the aura on Wang Feng's body, as well as the aura brought about by the axe, made it feel incomparably terrified. However, this roar could not stop Wang Feng. Seeing this, two pillars of blood shot out from the blood-winged dragon beetle's mouth, directly hitting Wang Feng's body. This pillar of blood was extremely destructive to soul masters. Once it was dispelled, the soul master would instantly go crazy and lose consciousness until he died of exhaustion, allowing the blood-winged dragon beetle to absorb his energy. Following that, the stone armor on its back that was carved with countless patterns quickly closed up, forming a flawless armor. The blood-winged dragon beetle's attack and defense speed were not bad. The blood wings on its back also began to emit intense rays of light. This kind of light could affect the surrounding area, causing enemies to feel as if they had fallen into a quagmire, greatly reducing their speed. After doing all this, Wang Feng did not encounter any obstruction at all. The pillars of blood that sprayed on his body did not flow out at all. The light formed by the blood wings also could not stop Wang Feng. Wang Feng's axe directly landed on the back of the blood-winged dragon beetle with the force of lightning. Because the blood-winged dragon beetle was too big, even though Wang Feng's aura was astonishing, his axe landing on the back of the blood-winged dragon beetle looked like a basketball landing on a basketball court. However, the instant the axe landed, crack, 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 the ground where the blood-winged dragon beetle was on seemed to be directly pressed down by a few hundred tons of weight. Countless cracks appeared in all directions. Its huge body also quickly sank. As for the stone armor on his back, it cracked almost immediately. Although the blood-winged dragon beetle's defense was also very strong, it might not be stronger than the thorny, mysterious underworld tortoise's defense. This was because the thorny, mysterious underworld tortoise was famous for its defense. At this moment, Wang Feng, who was at level 40, was naturally many times stronger than when he was at level 30. After the axe landed, Wang Feng's body only spilled a little blood. It was not like the previous time, where he was directly shaken and almost all the bones in his body were broken. However, this axe only broke the defense of the dragon beetle's back. It seems like this axe is not enough. At this moment, Wang Feng's entire body was surrounded by airwaves. He pulled out the Pangu axe and felt the little strength left in his body. His eyes were stunned. Then, I will attack again. This was a 60,000-year-old dragon beetle, after all. Even with his current strength at level 40, it was not very possible for him to kill it with one axe strike. Its vitality was too strong. If it was a 30,000-year-old thorny, mysterious underworld tortoise, this axe strike would have killed it. However, Wang Feng still had strength to spare. His soul power at level 40, his divine soul skill, his physique after being tempered by the karmic fire of the Red Lotus, and his skull gave him an extremely calm state. At this moment, Wang Feng could clearly feel that he still had the strength to attack again. Roar! At this moment, the stone carapace on the back of the blood-winged dragon beetle was broken. It let out an extremely angry roar. It suddenly spoke in the human language and spoke in an extremely angry voice. "Human, who are you? I have lived for so many years. I have never seen a human with such an exaggerated martial soul. You who are so weak can hurt me." Its voice was very awkward. It sounded like a foreigner speaking in Mandarin. Clearly, it did not speak the human language often. Yes, it had lived for 60,000 years. In this great star doe forest, it did not know how many soul masters and soul beasts it had killed. It had never seen such an exaggerated martial soul. Clearly, this human's rank was not high, but it could actually cause such a terrifying amount of damage. Unless it was a titled Douluo, even those powerful soul Dalu might not be able to cause such an exaggerated amount of damage. Wang Feng could not be bothered to reply. He gathered all the strength in his body and leaped high into the air again. He swung his axe down directly. This time, because he had overdrawn his strength, the bones in his body let out a crisp sound. When he swung down, his entire body was like a fully drawn hunting bow. The axe landed on the body of the blood-winged dragon beetle, which did not have the protection of its stone carapace. End of this chapter. Chapter 253. The flesh and blood under its carapace were split into a spiderweb. The ruptured flesh and blood were crazily split open, and Wang Feng also landed on the ground. 2 strikes of the axe is still a bit strenuous. If I was at the 60th level, I could directly chop this beetle to death with 1 strike. Wang Feng fiercely spurted out a mouthful of blood, and the Pangu axe in his hand instantly disappeared. This blood-winged dragon beetle was not an ordinary 60,000-year spirit beast. It belonged to the extremely fierce kind. Compared to Ming, it should be 2 levels lower. Even if it was Douluo, let alone 2 moves, even 10 moves would not be able to kill this beetle. However, Douluo was good at group attacks, not single attacks. Moreover, the Pangu axe also restrained this blood-winged dragon beetle, causing fear in the heart of this blood-winged dragon beetle, causing its strength to decrease by 20%. Wang Feng lay on the ground, gasping for breath. This was the second time he used Pangu axe, and Wang Feng had already somewhat adapted to it. 2 extreme strikes of the axe made the injuries on Wang Feng's body much lighter than the last time. In addition, the meteoric tear also gushed out energy, rapidly healing. However, because his body was too strong, the meteoric tear's healing speed was a bit slower than before. While Wang Feng was recovering, in the distance, Qian Rinxue and the others who were hunting a 20,000-year wild flame howling sky tiger were stunned. To be precise, when that light beam lit up, they were stunned. That is, Qian Rinxue looked at that light beam in the distance. Expert. Meng Xinji looked with a frightened expression. It's definitely an expert. No, this kind of aura is too terrifying. Even a title doesn't have this kind of aura. The other 2 title Douluo were also shocked again and again. At that time, even the sword Douluo had been shocked by this aura, thinking it was a god descending to earth. Right now, the 3 spirit Douluo were naturally even more shocked. Your Highness, look, this wild flame howling sky tiger is directly lying down. Its eyes are full of fear. Jilin pointed at the fierce sky tiger that was bound by his sky azure vine and was still struggling. But as soon as that light beam's aura dispersed, it instantly lay down. Qian Rinxue's heart was also filled with fear, because she also felt incomparably clearly that this wild flame howling sky tiger was even more afraid than the one that had encountered Feng Yuxiu. What kind of terrifying existence does this great star doe forest have? Bai Baoshan muttered. Even I feel incomparably fearful. What exactly is that thing? As the light beam in the center became brighter and brighter, looking from afar, a blood-colored ball of light suddenly appeared in the sky, and they could vaguely see a human figure within it. But it was too far, and the three of them could not see it clearly. But the waves of air that had been released in the past half a year could affect them here. Don't worry about it for now. You guys protect me. I'll kill this wild flame howling sky tiger first and absorb its soul ring. Qianrenshua said calmly, just nice, this is also the best opportunity. The nearby soul beasts won't come and cause trouble. The three of them nodded repeatedly. This was indeed the best opportunity. Stardo Great Forest Center. Erming, can you feel it? The sky blue bull python's enormous body suddenly appeared in the middle of an enormous and pure lake that flickered with lustrous light. The Titan giant ape was currently combing its fur on the shore of the lake. It's that aura again. After a year, I feel that it seems to have become a lot stronger. Erming, what do you think? I feel the same. Erming said naively. The sky blue bull python glared at him and said in a low voice, go take a look at that place. Xiao hasn't returned for more than a year. I don't know if she's in danger. Those friends of his don't seem to have come to the Stardo Great Forest again. Okay, big brother, wait for me to comb my fur. I'll go take a look. Xiao Wu isn't here, so I can only comb my own hair, Ming said. The sky blue bull python looked at him in silence for a moment and said, if you comb it now, won't you mess it up again when you go out later? Why don't you go take a look first, store the messy hair, and comb it together when you come back? Sigh. Big brother, you're so smart. Why didn't I think of that? Ming's lantern-sized eyes lit up, and then he messed up his freshly combed fur. We'll comb it together when we come back. Big brother, I'll go take a look. With that said, Ming walked out. Remember, don't get too close. The sky blue bull python's voice sounded. Wang Feng recovered for a while, and the meteoric tear's recovery ability was still very strong. As long as he was given time, he would be able to recover no matter how severe his injuries were. After a while, Wang Feng stood up and walked toward the blood-winged dragon beetle. His pitch-black soul ring exuded a dazzling light, and there was a faint, intimidating aura around it. However, Wang Feng did not absorb it. Red Face Hellfire. Wang Feng turned around, and the red lotus of Hellfire emitted a bright red light. Go! After recovering some of his soul power, Wang Feng activated the Hellfire in the red lotus, turning it into a waterfall of flames that burned the blood-winged dragon beetle. This blood-winged dragon beetle was too ferocious, and even if it was dead, its soul would still be extremely violent. Wang Feng was a little worried if he absorbed it directly. To be safe, Wang Feng used the Hellfire to burn the blood-winged dragon beetle first. He had not thought of this before, but when he learned that the red lotus would also temper his body and burn his soul, he thought of it. If I use the Hellfire of the red lotus to burn these soul beast souls, will it be easier for me to absorb them? Would it be easier for him to refine the souls of these ferocious soul beasts so that he could absorb them? The Hellfire of the red lotus slowly burned the blood-winged dragon beetle's body. Vaguely, Wang Feng could hear gusts of cold wind howling, as if the blood-winged dragon beetle was crying out in pain. The blood-winged dragon beetle's body was too big, so the Hellfire of the red lotus did not cover it quickly. However, the Hellfire of the red lotus burned its soul directly. Without hesitation, Wang Feng sat down cross-legged and began to absorb the blood-winged dragon beetle's soul ring. The pitch-black soul ring entered Wang Feng's body from the blood-winged dragon beetle's body. A huge amount of soul power gathered from the soul ring and flowed into Wang Feng's body. When the soul power entered the soul ring, Wang Feng was slightly happy. It seemed like the direct way of thinking was not wrong. After being burned by the Hellfire of the Bloodwing, the soul of the dragon beetle was much weaker. The soul power in the soul ring did not have too much of a violent aura. It was not enough to destroy his spirit and soul in one go. It was also enough for the Black Lotus and the Dark Angel Martial Soul to absorb a little. Wang Feng first controlled the Black Lotus to absorb the remaining soul consciousness of the dragon beetle in the soul ring. After absorbing enough energy, Wang Feng summoned the Dark Angel Martial Soul again and continued to absorb the soul consciousness in the soul ring. Vaguely, Wang Feng felt the first pair of wings on the back of the dark angel martial soul become slightly brighter. Next, Wang Feng began to absorb the soul ring's energy. Majestic soul power crashed around in his body. Fortunately, the meteoric tear was also effective at this time. In addition to this huge amount of soul power, because the dragon beetle's soul had been burned by the red lotus karmic fire, and with the increase of spiritual power from the skull, Wang Feng could actually control this huge amount of soul power. Moreover, Wang Feng's current physical fitness was comparable to a rank 70 soul master, so it was much better for him to absorb the soul power than before. It had to be said that the red lotus also had the benefits of body tempering. End of this chapter. Chapter 254. Under such conditions, Wang Feng's absorption was still considered successful. Every part of his body had become increasingly tough and sparkling after going through the circulation of this enormous amount of energy. And the green lotus in his sea of consciousness also slowly bloomed. Most of the energy in the soul ring rapidly flowed into the stem. The stem transformed into the god-slaying spear and slowly absorbed this terrifying energy. Gradually, the originally somewhat blunt spear blade became cold and thick, incomparably sharp. The ancient and strange patterns on the spear body also emitted a faint glow. Until most of the soul ring's energy was absorbed, the soul-devouring spear underwent a transformation. The spear blade and the spear body seemed to have been reforged, becoming the real god-slaying spear. The pitch-black soul ring revolved around this god-slaying spear, bringing with it a slightly forest-like and ruthless aura, perfectly complementing this god-slaying spear. Waves of purplish-black demonic aura revolved around the spear body, and the entire spear emitted an extremely ferocious aura. Compared to the simple and unadorned look from before, at this moment, it was even more like a sharp blade, with a menacing aura. Those who were timid would probably faint with just a single glance. Who knew how powerful the improvement was? And the remaining small amount of soul power was absorbed by Wang Feng to increase his soul power. His level shot up in a straight line. Wang Feng felt that it was almost at rank 44 before it gradually stopped. F***CK. Why is it at this level? Wang Feng really opened his eyes and couldn't help but shake his head. This number was too inauspicious. However, it had to be said that the energy of this 60,000-year soul ring was indeed enormous. Most of it was absorbed by the god-slaying spear and evolved into a mature form. A small portion was absorbed by him, and he also rose to rank 4. Thinking about it, it was quite normal. Who would absorb a 60,000-year soul ring at rank 40? Ordinary rank 70 soul masters could only absorb around 50,000-year soul rings when they broke through. With Wang Feng's current progress in compressing and purifying his soul power, absorbing a small portion was enough to raise his rank 4. One could imagine how abnormal these 60,000-year soul rings were. Soul ring appear. Wang Feng suddenly opened his eyes. The sharp light in his eyes seemed to have condensed into a substance as it flashed past. Obtaining a 60,000-year soul ring and raising his rank was an all-round improvement for him. Each of the previous forms would have an improvement. The god-slaying spear's change was naturally the greatest. This was because when it first took form, the god-slaying spear was similar to a newborn, the kind that hadn't been forged. But now that it had matured, it was equivalent to being forged. A cold glint was revealed. 4 pitch-black soul rings slowly lit up on Wang Feng's body. Each one was darker than the last. God-slaying spear. Wang Feng clenched his fist. Black-purple demonic chi revolved around him, and a long spear with a black glint and a cold maple was instantly grasped. So strong. The moment he grasped it, Wang Feng couldn't help but exclaim. The main thing was that the current god-slaying spear looked much better than before. Especially after activating his soul power, the spear's body was simple and unadorned. The inscriptions flickered with a bright black light, and the spear's sharp edges glinted with a piercing cold light. Although I don't know how powerful the clear sky hammer is, it won't be stronger than the god-slaying spear. Wang Feng felt that if he used the Dark Angel Martial Soul now, with the two added together, he would be able to exterminate that 20,000-year wild, flaming, howling sky tiger with just one move. He wouldn't give it any chance to escape. There's still a soul skill. Wang Feng closed his eyes and sensed for a moment. Suddenly, blood-colored veined patterns surged out from the spear's body. The originally pitch-black spear had an additional bloody aura, and it looked even more dazzling. This soul skill, Wang Feng was shocked. The blood-winged dragon beetle was a ferocious old beast that was good at offense, defense, and speed. The most frightening thing was its blood, which could cause soul masters to go crazy and then absorb the energy in their bodies for its own use. It was considered an extremely evil and powerful soul beast. It's a soul skill that's good at both offense and defense. Wang Feng inhaled slightly. He suddenly looked behind him and realized that he actually had two more wings. Wings filled with blood-colored energy. The aura on his body was greatly enhanced. Wang Feng casually waved his hand, and the soul-slaying spear shot out a terrifying blood-colored light. A violent explosion directly came from afar. Countless blood-colored light fused into the ground, absorbing the energy of the microorganisms on the ground. It can also fly. Wang Feng used his soul power to control the wings, and his whole body slowly rose into the sky. All the attributes of my body have been increased by more than one time, and my attack power has been increased by more than 2 times. I have blood wings that can fly, and the soul-slaying spear's attacks have a blood-devouring effect. I also have long-range attacks. Wang Feng was secretly amazed. This was an all-around, strengthening soul skill. It wasn't just a simple soul skill. It was similar to the effect of martial soul, true body possession. But a 6-year myriad soul beast was indeed extraordinary, and its flying speed wasn't slow. It was much faster than Wang Feng's running speed. And the blood-devouring effect was similar to the blood-winged dragon beetle's blood, which could make the enemy go crazy and devour the enemy's soul power to strengthen oneself. Let's call my 4th soul skill soul-devouring blood wings. Wang Feng thought for a while. The ability to fly was Wang Feng's biggest gain. It meant that he could fight in the air. It's a pity that the Chaos Green Lotus's different forms can only be used one by one, and not at the same time. Wang Feng sighed softly. Otherwise, with the soul-slaying spear in one hand and the Black Lotus of Annihilation in the other, he might really look like the demon ancestor Rahu. Now wait, there seems to be something. Wang Feng looked at the carcass of the blood-winged dragon beetle. The soul ring disappeared, and as the karmic fire of the red lotus burned, the huge carcass quickly turned into ashes. But among the corpses, there was a sparkling soul bone. Wang Feng was stunned. He didn't expect the blood-winged dragon beetle to have a soul bone. It shouldn't be. With the power of this blood-winged dragon beetle, it shouldn't have a soul bone. Could it be? Wang Feng's heart moved, and he walked over to look at the shining soul bone. It looks like a skull. Wang Feng looked at it. This soul bone had a spine, a sternum, and looked like a torso bone. It was emitting a blood-red, crystalline color. An unexpected gain, Wang Feng thought. He didn't rush to absorb the blood-winged dragon beetle's torso bone. Instead, he put it into his soul tool. A 60,000-year soul bone was extraordinary. But now that his strength had increased greatly, he needed some time to adapt to it. This torso bone and his mysterious underworld armor didn't overlap, because the mysterious underworld armor was an external soul bone. We'll see when the time comes. This blood-winged dragon beetle's torso bone should be very strong, but I still need to adapt to my current strength first. Wang Feng shook his head. During this trip, his strength had increased tremendously. After absorbing a 60,000-year soul ring, just the quality of his body had increased by a large amount again. At least, Wang Feng was confident that he could escape from a tidal Douluo. If he took out his Pangu axe, he could even put up a fight against a slightly weaker tidal Douluo. If the soul-slaying spear was included in the 5th gear, his chances of winning against a soul Douluo were very high. If it was a very strong soul Douluo, he might not be able to win, but he might not lose either. If it was the Pangu axe, no one below the tidal Douluo level would be able to survive. But in the tidal Douluo level, the difference between each level is very big. Wang Feng shook his head. The difference between each level of tidal Douluo could be said to be like heaven and earth. If it was a level 99 peerless Douluo, Wang Feng reckoned that he would have to be at least level 70 to have a chance of winning and level 80 to be able to win. But this was only an estimate. He would only know when he reached that level. Furthermore, this estimate was only based on what Wang Feng had now. There were still many forms of the Chaos Green Lotus that hadn't bloomed yet. Most importantly, Wang Feng still hadn't added soul rings to his other two martial souls. End of this chapter. Chapter 255. First, he was afraid he wouldn't be able to bear it. Because of the triplet spirit, with each additional spirit ring, the strength the body had to bear was hard to imagine. This was also why Tang Hao and Grandmaster didn't let Tang San add spirit rings to the clear sky hammer in the early stages. It was basically unbearable. This Panga axe was so powerful, Wang Feng didn't even know what spirit ring to give it. Moreover, Pangu Axe's own form didn't need to evolve to grow, different from the Primal Chaos Green Lotus. The Primal Chaos Green Lotus wasn't mature, so it could transform into various forms according to its spirit power rank, and each form was also not mature. Therefore, it needed spirit rings. But Pangu Axe only needed spirit power to be infused and could bear its strength, then it could be used. Its might was completely related to the strength of one's physical constitution and spirit power. Pangu Axe also didn't need any fancy spirit abilities. Wang Feng felt that one chop was enough. Returning to the most fundamental strength, just like the scene Wang Feng had seen when Pangu used this axe to split heaven and earth, simple and straightforward. Adding spirit rings to the Pangu Axe's strength would probably only increase by a little. As for the Dark Angel Martial Soul, when his spirit power was a little higher, he could try adding spirit rings to it. This was also Wang Feng's plan. After thinking about everything, Wang Feng once again took out a black robe and mask from the soul tool and put it on. Because he knew that using Pangu Axe would tear his clothes, Wang Feng naturally made ample preparations. It's about time to leave. Wait, this aura, it seems to be the Titan Giant Ape? Erming? Wang Feng suddenly looked in a certain direction in astonishment. After thinking for a while, Wang Feng quickly ran in that direction. Dong dong dong. At the same time, Qian Rinxue's location. Right now, Qian Rinxue was sitting cross-legged, absorbing that wild flame howling sky tiger's spirit ring. And Meng Shunji's trio were currently standing in front of Qian Rinxue in a triangular formation. Unfortunately, Qian Rinxue currently didn't open her eyes and didn't see the three's frightened expressions. The three spirit Douluo were incomparably nervous. Their faces were covered in cold sweat, because in front of them, a Titan giant ape the size of a small mountain was looking at them from the central lake. He had gone around in circles, coming out to take a look according to his big brother's intentions. But he hadn't expected that not long after coming out, that beam of light would vanish, disappeared. Then he'd just keep going around. In this turn, he'd first run into these humans in front of him. Right now, looking at the three spirit human powerhouses, Ming was somewhat dazed. What should I do? Should I kill them? This way, I'll have an explanation when I return. It's better not to kill them. Big Brother taught me that I can't casually kill. Moreover, that wild flame howling sky tiger itself is restless, often slaughtering in the forest. Thinking, the Titan giant ape lifted its foot, planning to leave. But at this time, protect His Highness. Control him. Meng Shenji's eyes suddenly opened wide, thinking that this Titan giant ape was planning to stomp down, so he suddenly shouted. Hearing this, Jilin's sky azure vine was like a mountain creeper, instantly growing all over the Titan giant ape's body, controlling the Titan giant eye's body. Bai Baoshan's heavenly star furnace directly released a huge light shield, enveloping the four people. The Titan giant ape, I wanted to let you go, but you actually dare hit me? He was enraged. Then, then the three people started fighting. The 60,000-year-old Titan giant ape, as one of the overlords of this star-dough great forest, its strength was naturally terrifying. Fortunately, Meng Shinji's trio were all spirit Dalu and moreover belonged to a dual control plus defense combination. Although their attack power wasn't strong, their restraining power was extremely frightening, especially by Baoshan's heavenly star furnace, which could be said to have blocked the majority of the Titan giant ape's attack. Adding in Meng Shinji's black demon spirit, as well as Ji Lin's sky azure vine spirit. For a short time, it could be considered a draw. Neither could do anything to the other. However, the more they fought, the more excited the Titan giant ape became. A light shield could be seen over the three people's heads, precisely by Baoshan's heavenly star furnace. Each of the Titan giant ape's attacks landed on this light shield, smashing out one ripple after another. We can't beat it. Meng Shinji's complexion paled slightly. This beast's attack power is too strong, already far surpassing that of ordinary 60,000-year spirit beasts. I'm afraid in another incense stick of time, Baoshan's heavenly star furnace true body will be broken. Our control against him is very ineffective for the most part. An ordinary 100-year Titan giant ape could contend against a 10,000-year Titan giant ape, let alone a 60,000-year Titan giant ape. Even if a tidal Douluo was here, they might not necessarily be able to beat it. Although the three of them were spirit Douluo, it was unknown how far they were from a genuine tidal Douluo. How could we run into this beast? Titan giant ape. But His Highness is currently at the crucial point of absorbing the spirit ring. We can't leave so easily, otherwise we will definitely suffer from the spirit ring's backlash. Ji Lin's complexion was also incomparably bad. Just a blood-winged dragon beetle before was fine, but now even this Titan giant ape was unexpectedly encountered. Was his luck this bad? Ka. At this time, the light barrier formed by the heavenly star furnace had already begun to crack. You too, lend me a bit of your soul power, Bai Baoshan shouted in a low voice. We have to at least hold on until His Highness wakes up, then we can retreat. Meng Shinji and Ji Lin nodded, then walked behind Bai Baoshan and slowly poured their soul power inside. Dong dong dong. Violent sounds suddenly echoed. With each step of the Titan giant ape, the trio's complexion paled a bit more. The Titan giant ape was just like a little child, looking at ants on the ground and stomping on them excitedly. At this time, Qian Rinchue's eyes flickered slightly. At this rate, even if His Highness wakes up, we also can't leave. The trio became increasingly anxious in their hearts, their complexions also becoming increasingly worse. But Qian Rinchue still did not wake up. Dong! The light barrier suddenly shattered. The trio's complexion changed, and they fiercely vomited a mouthful of blood. Right at this time, a cold light brimming with a sinister and ferocious aura suddenly shot over from a distance. The Titan giant ape seemed to have also sensed this cold light, and it had some apprehension in its heart, subconsciously taking a step back. Clang! A long spear was placed horizontally in front of the trio, blocking the Titan giant ape's footsteps. The spear body emitted a black aura flame, curling up and rising. The trio was shocked, and they felt slightly dizzy as they glanced at the spear due to their injuries. Immediately after, a hoarse voice was heard. Little ape, I'll fight with you. Come with me. The trio turned their gazes towards the distance when they heard this, and they saw a mysterious man in a black robe and a white mask. At this moment, he had a pair of blood-red wings on his back, and he floated silently in midair. The Titan giant ape was obviously attracted by this, and its gaze descended onto the mysterious black-robed man. Then it walked over. Meanwhile, the black-robed man turned his hand, and the terrifying spear that was covered in blood-red patterns and emitted a ferocious aura instantly returned to the mysterious black-robed man's hand. The trio heaved sighs of relief when they saw this. Many thanks to Senior for lending a hand. May I know Senior's name? Meng Shinji shouted loudly. This mysterious black-robed man only had a single pitch-black spirit ring. They couldn't see its rank, but presumably he used some special method to conceal it. But he was definitely very strong. Just the blood-fiendish aura emitted by that spear just now made the trio's hearts palpitate. However, that black-robed man didn't answer. With a slight flap of his blood wings, he instantly disappeared from where he stood. And the Titan giant ape behind him also patted its chest, roared a few times, and followed after this figure. There's still more at night. End of this chapter. Chapter 256. The three watched the Titan giant ape leave with that mysterious black-robed man, just like that. For a moment, they were all a bit dazed. Then the three all went limp in place, cold sweat pouring down. So dangerous, Meng Shenji muttered. If not for that mysterious senior, I'm afraid we would all have died here in a few days. The Titan giant ape's strength far surpassed their imagination. Starred Do Great Forest's overlord. They were also famous figures in the spirit master world. How could they not have heard of it? Only seeing it with their own eyes did they feel it was so frightening. I feel that the Titan giant ape probably didn't want to kill us, otherwise, Baoshan coughed up a few mouthfuls of blood, speaking in a low voice. His heavenly star furnace had acted as a defense just now, and could most clearly feel the Titan giant ape's strength, each kick stronger than the last. It had more of a kind of playful meaning. No matter what, we're considered saved. Ji Lin laughed bitterly a few times. I just don't know who that mysterious senior is. He didn't even leave his name. Only that spear. That spear, the aura it emitted was too terrifying. Looking at it, they felt as if their souls were trembling. Although the three of them were seriously injured at that time, and their minds were unstable, they still felt it was extremely frightening. I've never seen a spear-type spirit emitting that kind of fiendish aura. Meng Shinji's mind recalled the spirit master world's powerhouses, but none of them matched. Moreover, I can't see its rank. But to be able to attract that Titan giant ape's attention, its strength is very strong. The three discussed for a while. At this time, Qianrenxue woke up. You three, what's the situation with you? Qianrenxue looked at the three, asking with a frown. These three were currently paralyzed on the ground, the image of spirit Dalu completely gone, as if they had fought a great battle. Could it be that the blood-winged dragon beetle had come to find them again? Meng Shenji's trio looked at each other, shaking their heads with a wry smile. They told Qianrenxue what had happened just now. After listening, Qianrenxue was silent. Titan giant ape? Qianrenxue's tone was still calm. How could we encounter such a spirit beast? Hold on. You said you were just saved by a senior wearing a black robe and a white mask? Meng Shenji nodded. This senior's strength is tyrannical. His spirit is an extremely fiendish blood-red spear. Black robe, white mask, voice hoarse. His strength is very strong. That spear came from a distance and fell in front of us, attracting the Titan giant ape's attention. Speaking up to here, Meng Shinji sighed lightly. If we had come any later, even if this Titan giant ape didn't kill us, I'm afraid the three of us and your highness's fate would have been very miserable. After listening, Qianrenxue was startled. Black robe, white mask, spear, is it you? Qianrenxue looked in the direction Meng Shenji pointed. There was a special passage formed by the Titan giant ape walking over there. Feng Yuxiu, was it you who saved me again? Qianrenxue muttered in a low voice. She wanted to follow him now, wanted to know what happened afterwards. Would that Titan giant ape kill him? It shouldn't. He had a spirit ability that could block the aura of a 60,000-year spirit beast. He should be able to escape, right? But how could he appear here? Don't tell me he's been following me all along. Qianrenxue's heart shook slightly, shaking her head. How could that be possible? I don't even know him. He saved me once. There's no reason for him to save me a second time. Besides, I'm a man right now. That's just a coincidence. Thinking of this, Qianrenxue's heart was somewhat complicated. Your Highness, you wouldn't be thinking of going over to take a look, right? Meng Shinji looked at Qianrenxue's gaze and jumped in fright, hurriedly dissuading her. Your Highness, we will repay this senior's great kindness when we have the chance. But right now it's still best to leave as soon as possible. Besides, there's no use for just a few of us going. Even a titled Douluo wouldn't be able to defeat that titan giant ape. Qian Rinxue nodded slightly. She wasn't that stupid. How could she really go? With their strength, they wouldn't even be able to escape if they went. On the contrary, it would only add to the trouble. Feng Yuxiu. Feng Yuxiu. Qian Rinxue inwardly recited a few words, her heart somewhat marvelous. The reaction from 7 years ago had led to their meeting today, and she had even been saved twice in a row. I hope you can leave Star Do Great Forest. I believe we will meet again. Qian Rinxue looked deeply into the depths of the forest, her heart unexpectedly somewhat worried, as well as faintly discernible anticipation. Little gorilla, you can't catch up, so jump to hit me. In midair, Wang Feng held the soul-slaying spear in his hand, the blood wings on his back flapping, drawing streaks of blood-colored light in midair. And behind him, the titan giant ape was running on all fours, its speed similarly not inferior, but it was somewhat unable to catch up to Wang Feng. That human brat seemed a little familiar. Scurrying around like a housefly, this made the titan giant ape somewhat angry. It suddenly roared furiously, only to see that the surrounding air seemed to have been increased by more than 10 times the gravity, becoming incomparably heavy. Wang Feng also staggered, feeling that his body had suddenly become several times heavier. His flying speed instantly slowed down. Domain? What's that? Wang Feng groaned, directly concealing the Xian Ming armor, and only then did his speed return to normal. Seeing this, that titan giant ape opened its eyes wide and roared furiously again. An even more terrifying power directly crushed the void. Crackling sounds of explosions could be heard in the air. F***, this can't really be a domain, right? Wang Feng suddenly thought of something. He felt his body become a little heavier, as if this mountain was pressing down on him, and his speed became much slower, but he didn't fall from the sky. It was just that in this domain, Wang Feng felt as if all the bones and muscles in his body were being compressed. Divinization! Wang Feng roared, and the soul-slaying spear disappeared. He quickly descended, the golden lotus blossoming, and his divinization soul skill appeared again. The boost of 4 times his attributes made his body feel a little more relaxed. The titan giant ape looked at Wang Feng. Eat my spear. Before he landed on the ground, Wang Feng summoned the soul-slaying spear again, and immediately used his 4th soul skill, soul-devouring blood wings. His attributes increased explosively again. A trace of blood flashed in Wang Feng's eyes, and he directly attacked the titan giant ape. Seeing Wang Feng attack, the titan giant ape wasn't shocked, but happy instead. This little fly seemed to be quite powerful. Indeed, Wang Feng was currently in the titan giant ape's gravity domain, and with a boost of various attributes, the heaviness he felt was greatly reduced, and he barely returned to his normal state. Roar! The titan giant ape punched at Wang Feng. That huge fist was like a mountain, and, compared to it, Wang Feng was more like a pebble. The two collided. Wang Feng was directly sent flying as if he had been punched. The titan giant ape didn't even move. The difference in strength between the two was too big. In addition, in the gravity domain, Wang Feng's strength was greatly reduced, and it was like punching in water. The strength was greatly reduced. Bang, bang, bang. Wang Feng consecutively smashed through dozens of trees, and then slowly stopped falling. Damn, isn't this too strong? Wang Feng looked at the path that he had been blasted through, and countless trees were broken on both sides. I've really become arrogant. I actually wanted to exchange blows with this 100,000-year Air Ming. Wang Feng coughed a few times. He didn't suffer any injuries, and his body was just a little shaken. Suddenly, the corner of Wang Feng's mouth also revealed a trace of a strange smile. However, this spear of mine will always be able to injure you. This is the soul-slaying spear. No matter how indestructible you are, these small wounds will slowly accumulate, and it will be able to make you wish you were dead. Roar, roar. Seeing that the fly that Wang Feng couldn't catch up with was sent flying with a single punch, the Titan giant ape was as happy as a 300-kilogram child and madly patted its chest that was like a black rock. Thump, 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 thump. End of this chapter. Chapter 257. Wang Feng stretched his body and flew into the air again, facing the Titan giant ape. Wang Feng could also clearly see that there was another small wound on the Titan ape's hand. It wasn't big. To the Titan giant ape, this kind of wound was like a mosquito bite to an ordinary person. It didn't think much of it. Come again, little ape, Wang Feng shouted. He knew that the Titan giant ape didn't have much killing intent. Come on, do you think I'm afraid of you? The Titan giant ape spoke human language and charged at Wang Feng. Wang Feng was stunned when he heard this, because it was obviously much smoother than the blood-winged draconic beetle from before. Then, the two of them fought. Boom, boom, boom. The entire forest seemed to be sent flying by these two figures. Countless trees were smashed into pieces by Wang Feng's body. The Titan giant ape felt that it was having a good time. It had been a long time since it had felt so good. This little fly's strength isn't bad, and it can take a beating. I punch him again and again, sending him flying. It's a good thing that this little fly can take a beating. If it were a human soul master, he would probably be dead after a few punches. Big Brother will definitely scold me then. As the overlord of the great Stardow Forest, the Titan giant ape rarely had such a good time. However, why do I feel a little tired? The Titan giant ape was stunned. It felt that it was full of energy, but why did it deplete so quickly? It punched the little fly again and sent it flying. The Titan giant ape suddenly looked at its palms and realized that they were covered in wounds. With its body's regenerative abilities, such small wounds should have healed in an instant. But it seems like they're getting bigger and bigger. This little fly seems to be poisonous. Wang Feng flew up again. On the contrary, he was full of energy. The more he fought, the more energetic he became. Although the soul-slaying spear couldn't cause large areas of damage to the Titan giant ape, every wound couldn't be healed. Even the Titan giant ape couldn't heal. Furthermore, under the state of his fourth soul skill, his attacks with the soul-slaying spear had the effect of devouring blood. The more wounds his opponent had, the more energy he could absorb. The more he fought, the more soul power he could absorb. On the contrary, the Titan giant ape felt that something was wrong. However, this Air Ming's vitality is too strong. If this continues, even if I fight for an entire day, I might not be able to exhaust him to death. Wang Feng shook his head. He hadn't activated his Dark Angel Martial Soul yet. He was already at the 5th level. He had used the soul power of his Golden Lotus to increase his soul power to rank 48. Other than his Karmic Fire, it was his strongest offensive state other than his Pangu Axe and Dark Angel Martial Soul. However, the damage he could do to the Titan giant ape was limited. An ordinary rank 80 assault type soul master might not be able to hurt this Titan giant ape. Back then, Zhao Wuji, who was at rank 76, was sent flying by this Titan giant ape in a few moves. The Titan giant ape was completely fine. This was even when Zhao Wuji had activated his martial soul true body. I'm so angry. The Titan giant ape looked at the wounds on his hands and roared angrily. He felt a little dizzy and knew that this was definitely the cause of these wounds. This wound contained a terrifying fiendish blood aura that made it impossible for him to heal. If this continued, he would be exhausted to death sooner or later. The little fly's strength seems to have exceeded my expectations. The Titan giant ape thought to himself. Although it was a little simple and honest, it wasn't stupid. Wang Feng. The Titan giant ape's body suddenly shone brightly, and its aura increased greatly. It didn't want to play anymore. If it continued to play, it would probably fall into this little fly's trap. Furthermore, the pain from the wounds on his hands made it a little unhappy. Wang Feng stared at it with wide eyes. Is it going to go all out? Damn, is it for real? If it's for real, then it won't be fun anymore. Wait. Seeing this, Wang Feng hurriedly shouted, I'm Xiao Wu's friend. The Titan giant ape was suddenly stunned. Wang Feng hurriedly removed the mask and hood on his head. In the next moment, the Titan giant ape let out a furious roar, and its body shone brightly as it pounced toward Wang Feng. "Little brother, what's wrong with you? I've already revealed my identity, and you're still coming? We're all on the same side." Wang Feng's heart shook, and he quickly activated the Black Lotus, and the Xianming armor was directly attached to his body. The Black Lotus instantly formed an incomparably pitch-black light shield. Boom! The Titan giant ape's huge body directly crashed into the light shield. However, this time, the light shield didn't shatter. A year ago, when the Black Lotus had just appeared, it could only block the Titan giant ape for less than 3 seconds. But now, the Black Lotus had a mature 10,000-year soul ring, and he had obtained an external soul bone that strengthened his body's constitution. During this period, he had also been strengthened by the meteoric tear several times, and he had also consumed 6 godly medicines. Apart from his brain and sternum, his entire body had been tempered by the Red Lotus karmic fire, and he was incomparably strong. Now he had reached rank 44, and he had obtained his 4th soul ring, a 60,000-year soul ring. 3 seconds? He probably wouldn't be able to shatter it, even after 30 seconds. Wang Feng hadn't used the Black Lotus to defend himself just now, because he wanted to let the Titan giant ape fight him head-on, so that the soul-slaying spear could injure him and lower his opponent's guard. Naturally, he had to use the Black Lotus to defend himself now. Wang Feng stood in the center of the enormous light barrier, and his entire body was forced back by the Titan giant ape's terrifying strength. Why was Wang Feng so confident that he could escape from a tidal Douluo? It was because of the Black Lotus's powerful defensive abilities. More than 20 seconds later, the Black Lotus light shield began to show signs of cracking. The surrounding ground was directly pressed by Wang Feng's light shield, forming a long trench. "Turn!" Wang Feng shouted in a low voice, and the Black Lotus's stored energy surged out in a frenzy, mending the cracks in the black barrier. After holding on for close to a minute, the Black Lotus's energy was completely used up, and the light barrier finally cracked. After the light barrier was broken, the Titan giant ape punched at Wang Feng. Boom! The punch landed squarely on Wang Feng's chest. Wang Feng's expression changed, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. However, the Titan giant ape also shook violently and was pushed back a few steps by a tremendous force. Its lantern-sized eyes stared at the little fly in shock. At this moment, in the distance, a huge figure suddenly appeared in midair. "Ming, stop!" A trembling voice rang out. This voice reminded Wang Feng of the voices in the Great Hall on TV. A voice could echo, and it was unusually loud. The Titan giant ape rubbed its head, but didn't attack. It snorted and then rubbed its palms. This wound couldn't be healed, and it was getting more and more painful, and it was even affecting its consciousness. It was very annoying. "Sky blue bull python?" Wang Feng wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and looked at the huge figure, his heart trembling. Unknowingly, they had actually fought here. However, although the Titan giant ape's punch had injured Wang Feng, it wasn't very serious. A few of his ribs were broken, but it wasn't a big deal. With his body, he would recover very quickly. It was just that the spirit power consumption was a little exaggerated. "Human, you're Xiao Wu's friend?" The sky blue bull python looked at the tiny human below, a trace of seriousness flashing through its eyes. Wang Feng nodded. "I'm called Wang Feng. Xiao Wu should have told you." But in his heart, he thought that this Ming was still too strong, completely defeating him. With the Black Lotus broken, he could only run. The sky blue bull python swept a glance over Wang Feng, then looked at the Titan giant ape and said in a low voice, "Just now you announced your identity, wanting Ming to let you go. That means you know Ming's identity. Since that's the case, why did you fight with him, provoking his anger?" End of this chapter. Chapter 258. Wang Feng coughed a few times, and without hiding anything said, "I just want to ask Xiao Wu's friend for some pointers. Besides that, Just now he promptly rushed over to save Meng Shunji's trio, which could also be considered returning the favor in Heaven Do Imperial Academy. After all, at that time the trio released pressure, letting him advance 3 ranks, and later when they encountered Prince Xuexing, he still came out to protect them. Ask for some pointers? Humph. The sky blue bull python snorted coldly, a powerful pressure directly suppressing Wang Feng. However, Wang Feng had already used a divinized spirit ability, and adding the mental strength of the black hoop spirit skull, he was already immune to this pressure. Otherwise, he might have been shaken until vomiting blood. You're interesting, human. The sky blue bull python looked at this human with bewilderment. Since when did human youths become so strong? Even the pressure of a 100,000-year spirit beast actually had no effect on this kid. The sky blue bull python turned to look at the Titan giant ape. I know this kid. The Titan giant ape said in a low, muffled voice. More than a year ago, it was him who held me back. I don't know what move he used just now, but my wounds couldn't heal. Big brother, look, I was so angry I want to beat him up. I didn't want to kill him. But just now I was held back again. So uncomfortable, big brother. The Titan giant ape's last punch landed on Wang Feng's body, breaking a few of Wang Feng's ribs. However, the Titan giant ape had also suffered injuries from the rebound. Compared to being held back by the Black Lotus Light barrier, it was probably even more uncomfortable. This was because the mysterious nether armor reflected 150% of the damage, and there was a 20% reduction. The sky blue bull python looked at the injuries on the Titan giant ape's palms, and his eyes, which were bigger than 4 or 5 soccer balls, were extremely serious. What a terrifying blood-fiendish aura. The sky blue bull python spat out a ball of light, which landed on the Titan giant ape's palms. However, when this ball of light landed on the Titan giant ape's palms, it didn't heal the wounds. It could only be said that it was suppressed. Ming, this wound of yours can only be suppressed. It may not heal. The sky blue bull python's pupil shrank. What caused this wound? He actually couldn't heal it? With that said, the sky blue bull python looked at Wang Feng, his eyes slightly cold. You can go. Seeing that you are Xiao Wu's friend, I will pretend that today's matter didn't happen. The sky blue bull python said in a low voice. Wang Feng coughed a few times and said, Well, your brother's wound was caused by me. I can naturally heal it. Don't worry. You just want to see the effect of this soul-slaying spear. It seemed that this soul-slaying spear was really powerful. No matter how small the wound caused, it couldn't heal and could only barely suppress it. Moreover, as time passed, the wound would definitely worsen. Suppressing it would also take a lot of soul power, and for a long time, it would definitely affect his strength. You can heal it. The sky blue bull python looked at Wang Feng with uncertainty. The Titan giant ape also turned around to look at Wang Feng, its huge body giving people a very strong sense of oppression. Of course, Wang Feng walked to the Titan giant ape's side, the golden lotus in his hand spinning slightly, exuding a vigorous life force. This is... The sky blue bull python looked at the golden lotus in Wang Feng's hand and vaguely sensed a special power that shocked even him. However, the sky blue bull python still looked at Wang Feng cautiously. Help me recover, and I won't be angry anymore, Ming said. Wang Feng activated the golden lotus, and a golden light fell into Ming's hands. Suddenly, Ming let out a series of roars. In an instant, the sky blue bull python was shocked. He said angrily, Ming, what's wrong? Is it him? No, big brother, I feel so good. The sky blue bull python. Wang Feng watched intently as the golden light enveloped Ming's hands, and the wounds on his hands healed at a rate visible to the naked eye. In just a few moments, they had completely recovered. It's just as I thought. The healing ability of the golden lotus is far beyond my imagination. It's not just normal healing. Even these special wounds, even wounds caused by the soul-slaying spear, can be healed. Wang Feng heaved a sigh of relief. After all, They were both manifestations of the chaotic green lotus. In other words, they were born from the same mother, so they could naturally complement each other. As their soul power rank increased, their abilities would naturally also become more powerful. After the Titan giant ape recovered, it was once again full of energy. "Come on, let's fight another 300 rounds." The Titan giant ape said to Wang Feng. "Since you can recover, I don't have to worry about you hurting me anymore." "Don't worry, I won't hurt you either." Wang Feng was speechless. This Air Ming was a battle maniac. On the other hand, the sky blue bull python said to Wang Feng, "Thank you." Wang Feng smiled and waved his hand. "No need. I was the one who caused these wounds. Furthermore, Xiao Wu and I are friends." Wang Feng's heart skipped a beat as he spoke. Since he could meet De Ming and Air Ming in advance, why not cultivate in the Great Star Dough Forest for a few months? He could also spar with Air Ming. Although he couldn't beat Air Ming, he could still use him as a sparring partner to unleash his potential. In addition, Air Ming was Xiao Wu's friend and wouldn't kill him. He could be considered a perfect sparring partner. This was equivalent to having a titled Douluo sparring partner, and he didn't even need money. Thinking to this point, Wang Feng smiled at the Titan giant ape and said, "All right, I might stay in the Great Star Dough Forest for a few months. If you want to fight me, come at me. But don't be serious." Hearing this, the Titan giant ape was immediately overjoyed and nodded repeatedly. This little fly could take his attacks. He would be able to hit it hard. If it could stay and play with him, that would be great. Wang Feng could see that this Air Ming was actually the same as Xiao Wu. He seemed to have lived for a long time, but he was probably about 16 or 17 years old. On the other hand, this sky blue bull python was much more mature. Seeing this, the sky blue bull python didn't say anything else. Just like this, Wang Feng spent the remaining few months in the Great Star Dough Forest cultivating. While fighting with the Titan giant ape, he cultivated and increased his soul power at the same time. 5 months later, in the center of the Great Star Dough Forest, in the middle of a lake, "Little lunatic, come out and fight. Today, I'm going to beat the crap out of you." The Titan giant ape roared from the lakeside. Half a year didn't change anything to him. At this moment, the sky blue bull python emerged from the lake and said in a low voice, "Air Ming, he's already left today." Hearing this, the Titan giant ape was suddenly stunned, because every day at this time, he would come to find that little lunatic to fight, and it could be said that half of the Great Star Dough Forest was in chaos. This half a year was also the most enjoyable half a year he had ever fought. Furthermore, the more he fought, the more Air Ming felt that his strength had increased a little. Why did he leave? Air Ming sat down on the ground, his voice a little dejected. "I didn't hurt him in this half a year." "You can't hurt him either," the sky blue bull python said. The Titan giant ape smashed 2 holes in the ground with its fists. "I didn't dare to use my full strength, but it seems like I can't hurt him either. Big brother, do you think he's really a human? Why do I feel like he's more durable than us soul beasts? He's even more durable than those 60 to 70,000 year soul beasts." Chapter 259. The sky azure bull python was silent for a moment and didn't say anything. During this half a year, that human youth had given him far too many surprises. His martial soul skills, battle experience, and the speed of his growth, all of them had far exceeded his imagination. In the beginning, that youth had told Air Ming to unleash his gravity domain with all his might. A month ago, Air Ming had beaten him to the point where he couldn't even crawl up. When Air Ming unleashed his gravity domain with all his might, even those 80 or 90,000 year soul beasts had to obediently lay on the ground and take his beatings. Air Ming very rarely used his gravity domain against human soul masters. He would only use a little, but not all of it. It was the same during his first battle with that youth. But from the second month onwards, that youth began to improve rapidly. He could move freely even within Air Ming's gravity domain. In the third month, Air Ming's gravity domain was unstoppable to him. Later on, he even asked him to use his slowing domain, but the sky azure bull python didn't use it. In this half a year, Even though that youth still couldn't beat Ming, he was able to hold on for longer and longer. Towards the end, Ming even had to use 70 to 80% of his strength to beat that kid. At first, he even berated Ming. How could he let him injure him? But this youth said he was the one who asked for it. But he seems to only be a 45th rank human soul master. The Sky Azure Bull Python was somewhat at a loss. Could it be that this human youth was already strong to this extent? If that's the case, how will we spirit beasts survive in the future? A 45th rank human soul master required 80% of Ming's strength to defeat him. Alright, he also gave you a present. At this moment, the Sky Azure Bull Python pulled out a large and thick staff that was more than 10 meters long from the lake. What's this? The Titan giant ape's eyes lit up as it looked at the staff. The staff seemed to have been polished, and there were all kinds of patterns carved into it. It was rather ancient, and when it looked at it, it felt like holding it in its hands and playing with it. Ahem, this is a huge piece of golden astral rock that he found in this lake. After that, he discussed with me and polished it. He said that he wanted to give you a surprise. The Sky Azure Bull Python said. He said that you would like this staff a lot. As it spoke, the Sky Azure Bull Python tossed the staff to the Titan giant ape with its tail. The Titan giant ape leaped up and caught the staff with both palms. The moment it caught it, it was suddenly abnormally excited. As if it was born with this understanding, it began to play with the staff in its hands. It spun with a whirring sound. The staff was like a rainbow. Its aura skyrocketed. Fun, fun. I like this gift so much. The Titan giant ape was extremely happy. As it played with the staff, it jumped up and down, causing the ground to tremble. The Sky Azure Bull Python also watched with amazement. He could clearly feel that when Ming held the staff, his aura skyrocketed several times. This kind of skyrocketing aura brought about a real increase in strength. Could it be that Ming was born with the talent to play with the staff? How did that young man know? Big brother, did the little lunatic give this staff a name? The Titan giant ape roared happily. Yes. What's it called? At first it was called the Golden Cudgel. Then it was changed to the Heaven-Raising Staff. You can choose. Heaven-Raising Staff, I like it. Heaven Dose City. Shrek Academy. Grandmaster stood in his room, his gaze fixed on the distance outside the window. Next to him, Flinder and Lu Erlong were present. Xiao Gang, these kids have all broken through to rank 40. It's time for us to bring them to obtain their 4th soul rings. Flinder suddenly said, Is there still no news of Xiao Feng? 5 months ago, Wang Feng went to the Great Star Do Forest alone to obtain his 4th soul ring. Only Grandmaster knew about this. But in these 5 months, it was naturally impossible to conceal the news of Xiao Feng's disappearance. Flinder and Lu Erlong also asked. Tang San and the other Shrek 7 also asked. Grandmaster shook his head. No, but Xiao Feng said that when the time comes, he will naturally return. He told us not to go find him. Hearing this, Lu Erlong suddenly stood up, frowning. I said that as early as a month ago, Flinder and I should have gone together. His 4th spirit ring is definitely also a 30,000-year one. You want him, a 40th rank spirit master, to defeat a 30,000-year spirit beast. How difficult is that? His 3rd 30,000-year spirit ring, Xiao Feng said, was because the thorny, mysterious underworld tortoise was already seriously injured and on the verge of death. Then it was threatened by the sword law, and in the end he killed it. The 2nd was because he saved that spirit beast child. That spirit beast willingly let him absorb it. How can he have such good luck this time? Flinder listened to this and repeatedly frowned. Zhao Wuji also listened with some worry in his heart. At that time in the Great Star Do Forest, Xiao Feng was captured by that Titan giant ape, his life hanging by a thread, but he also obtained an enormous opportunity, obtaining a 30,000-year spirit ring. This matter they all knew, but this kind of opportunity, how could he encounter it again this time? Believe in him, Grandmaster muttered. It's not that I don't believe in him. Xiao Feng was able to withstand 2 of Dugobo's moves. His strength even surpasses that of a 50-something ranked battle spirit master, directly approaching a 60-something ranked battle spirit master. His body quality isn't inferior to Zhao Wuji's. Lu Erlong said, "But don't you know how many people there are in the Great Star Do Forest? If he wants to kill a 10,000-year spirit beast, that's not difficult. But what if he's surrounded? What if he's discovered by those 50 or 60,000 year, or even 70 or 80,000 year spirit beasts?" Hearing this, Grandmaster also frowned without saying anything. What Lu Erlong said was also the problem he was worried about. The Great Star Do Forest was still too dangerous. With Xiaofeng's strength, killing ordinary 10,000-year spirit beasts wasn't a problem. He had a chance to kill those under 20,000 years. 30,000 years was difficult. 40,000 years was extremely difficult. If he encountered 50 or 60,000-year spirit beasts, perhaps he wouldn't even be able to escape 70 or 80,000 years. Then he could only die. Also, you lied to those children, saying that Xiaofeng went to cultivate in seclusion for half a year. Now it's almost been half a year. Xiaofeng still hasn't returned. Flinders said in a low voice, "How should you tell them?" This problem was even more serious. Right now, Tang San and the others all thought that Wang Feng went to cultivate in seclusion. They were all waiting for him to return. Especially those two girls they often come to ask. One of them is still all right. She's too embarrassed to ask so often. That girl Rong Rong comes to ask every day. I don't even know how to answer. Lu Erlong coughed a few times. Now it's almost been half a year. They've also all reached the 40th rank. We'll immediately bring them to obtain their 4th spirit rings. If they ask again, what should we do? The few of them were somewhat anxiously discussing. At this moment, a guard suddenly walked into the room. "Grandmaster, there's a letter for you." Hearing this, Grandmaster looked distracted, took the letter, and quickly finished reading it. After finishing reading, Grandmaster slowly folded the letter, his face revealing a trace of a smile. "All right, let the 7 of them gather. There's still half a month before the Advanced Spirit Master Grand Tournament begins. Do your best to let each of them obtain a spirit ring." Chapter 260. Hearing this, Flender and Lu Erlong both stared blankly. "Then what about Xiaofeng? You don't care?" Flender immediately stood in a low voice, saying, "If you're like this, then I'll personally go to Star Do Great Forest. Erlong, you lead a team to protect those 7 children and obtain spirit rings." Lu Erlong shook her head. "Boss Fu, I'm stronger than you. Star Do Great Forest is a lot more dangerous than Sunset Forest. I'll go." Flender, "All right, he's already back." Grandmaster smiled mysteriously. Not only back, he's also obtained his 4th spirit ring. His rank has also risen to the 45th rank. Hearing this, the room became slightly quiet. Flender and Lu Erlong were also dumbfounded. "What did you say? 45th rank?" Flender sucked in a mouthful of cold air. "Is it that letter just now?" Lu Erlong glanced at Grandmaster, saying indifferently. Grandmaster nodded. "That's right. In the letter he told us that he's already back. By the way, I'll show it to you." Saying so, Grandmaster showed the letter to the 3. After reading it, the 3 were silent. "He really wants to do this?" Flender thought a moment, pushing up his glasses. Tang San's group of 7 have improved a lot in this half a year. Lu Erlong smiled, somewhat charming. "I thought it was rather interesting. 45th rank. Inconceivable. Xiao Gang, how old is he this year?" 14. 14 years old, 45th rank. Flinders sighed softly. On the continent, there shouldn't be many that can reach this rank at this age, right? Mubai, that kid, currently also just reached the 45th rank. This is still relying on Lin Feng's special cultivation method. Otherwise, Mubai right now should still be around the 44th rank. The cultivation method, at first, was to train while cultivating, letting the body get used to training, while the mind was meditating and cultivating. Afterwards, it was used in all aspects of life. Although the 7 still didn't learn it, it still had some effect. Right inside the letter, it didn't say he obtained a spirit ring. Lu Erlong looked at the letter. "According to my calculations, at this moment," Grandmaster pondered a moment, "Lin Feng's spirit power is special. His body is also special. His rank might be several times harder than ordinary Spirit Master's rank 1. To be able to advance 5 ranks in half a year, that shows the quality of the spirit ring he obtained is very high. According to my estimation, it should be around 40,000 years. Hearing this, the two's eyes stared like saucers. 40,000 years? He can't possibly kill it, right? Flinder couldn't help saying, a 40,000-year common spirit beast is equivalent to a 70-something ranked spirit sage. If it was a bit stronger, even Zhao Wuji would be hammered to death. Zhao Wuji, Lin Feng should be able to kill around 30,000 years. Grandmaster glanced at the two. 40,000 years. It requires a certain opportunity. It's not impossible. Kill 30,000 years? That's equivalent to a 70-something spirit sage. Lu Erlong said in amazement, but he was able to withstand Dugu Bo's palm at that time. And Zhao Wuji, you said, he can withstand 100% of Titan's oppressive might and not die. His body isn't worse than yours, maybe even stronger. It's possible to kill a 30,000-year spirit beast, but the difference in spirit power is too big. It shouldn't be that easy, right? What Lu Erlong knew was that Wang Feng's body quality was special, but his spirit power rank was not high after all. Could he cross so many ranks to kill a spirit beast? Killing a spirit beast and enduring the oppressive might of an attack were two different things. 40,000 years was too exaggerated. Even if she faced a 30,000-year spirit beast, it would be difficult to kill it. 40,000 years was even more difficult. Unless the three of them joined hands to use a spirit fusion ability, it would be relatively easier to kill. Spirit Masters also have to rely on luck. Don't guess when the time comes, just ask him face to face. Grandmaster said indifferently. The two nodded. Receiving the news of Wang Feng's safe return could be considered to be at ease. Not long after, in the plaza, Flinder gathered Tang San's 7 people. In close to half a year, the 7 people all had some changes. On one hand, they broke through to the 40th rank. And the first to break through was Ning Rongrong. After her spirit changed, her cultivation speed also greatly increased, and, according to her description, her body quality was also slowly improved by the star power in her spirit, plus the remaining medicinal power. Compared to ordinary auxiliary system spirit masters, she was even more powerful. Compared to the same auxiliary system spirit master Oscar, she was a bit stronger. The second was Zhu Zhuqing. Similarly, after the spirit changed, her cultivation speed also greatly increased, plus being extremely diligent, the second to reach the 40th rank. The third was Oscar. Oscar's 9th petal immortal orchid, plus the light golden sausage, gave him even faster cultivation speed. The three practically every few days reached the 40th rank one after another. Then there was Tang San, Ma Hongjun. Xiao Wu reached the 39th rank, still some distance from the 40th rank. Speaking of which, it was all thanks to the cultivation method that Wang Feng had provided. A year and a half. In a year and a half, it could be considered to have let the several people reach the 40th rank one after another more than a month ahead of time. But because Grandmaster said that after reaching the 40th rank, they could also continue to cultivate and accumulate spirit power. After breaking through, they would advance even more. So everyone was in no hurry to obtain the 4th spirit ring. And today, finally, it was time to obtain the 4th spirit ring. Only because this time one person was missing, the 7 people were all somewhat silent. Mainly, they were all somewhat worried about Wang Feng. After all, it had already been half a year. Not even a shadow had been seen. Even if Grandmaster said he had gone to cultivate, in this half a year, there was not a single message. Today, besides Mubai, the others have also stabilized at the 40th rank. It's time to go to the Sunset Forest. Flinder looked at the several people, slowly saying, "The reason why I want you 7 to go together is because I want you to undergo combat training. After all, it's going to be the Advanced Spirit Master Grand Competition. This time, separately obtaining the 4th spirit ring for each of you is precisely to temper your team. It can also be considered the first stage of your graduation exam." Hearing this, Xiao Wu curiously asked, "Dean, How will we be considered to have passed? Do you want the 7 of us to hunt soul beasts? Flinder slightly nodded. Correct. This time you need to rely on the team's strength to go hunt spirit beasts. Because the competition not long after requires your team to be together, this time is a tempering for you. You must hunt spirit beasts under the circumstances that the 3 of us don't act. This is one of the conditions for passing. This one immediately made everyone frown slightly. Apart from this, Flinder looked at everyone, slightly smiling. There is still a second condition. For this trip, we have invited a mysterious power. After you enter the Sunset Forest, you will undergo special training. This power will appear at any time and place to attack you. This is a test of your ability to adapt. Hearing this, everyone was flabbergasted, but they could also understand. Dean, then roughly what is his strength? Ma Hongjun curiously asked. Roughly a 6-ring soul emperor, Grandmaster suddenly said. Hearing this, everyone suddenly heaved a sigh of relief. A 6-ring soul emperor, with the 7 of them combined, it would not be difficult to deal with. To be precise, it was quite simple. No problem, Ma Hongjun casually said. A mere 6-ring soul emperor wants to attack us Shrek's 7 devils. It won't be that easy. Chapter 261. Hearing Ma Hongjun's words, the Dean, Lu Erlong, and Grandmaster looked at each other and saw the smile in each other's eyes. Is there no request? Dai Mubai asked curiously. There is. Lu Erlong smiled and said, he's wearing a mask on his face. If he can take off his mask, it'll be considered that you've finished the special training early and are allowed to pass. This request was considered normal. It was similar to an additional question. If you completed it, you'd get extra points. If you didn't, it was fine too. Flinder looked at the 7 of them and continued. All right, this information is enough. As for the other information, you'll have to explore it on your own after entering the setting sun forest. Everyone nodded, but it was impossible to give you all the information about this 6-ring soul emperor. After all, it was impossible for you to understand the enemy so thoroughly. Grandmaster, when exactly will Brother Feng return? At this moment, Tang San suddenly asked. He's been cultivating in seclusion for half a year. The time should be up soon, right? Hearing this, the few of them suddenly became quiet. Ning Rongrong had long since impatiently looked at the 3 of them. She had wanted to ask just now. He'd just cultivated in seclusion for half a year. Not long after returning to the academy, he was cultivating again. The others also looked at Grandmaster with equal curiosity. He said he'd be back in a few days. Grandmaster glanced at them. Probably, when you've obtained your spirit rings and returned to the academy, he should be back. Flinder to the side also smiled and said, perhaps, when you return, you'll just happen to meet him. Grandmaster's words and Flinder's Dean's words made everyone's hearts ease. Really? Dean? Ning Rongrong's original mood was still somewhat poor, but hearing the 2's words, she was immediately brimming with motivation, her face glowing. Zhu Zhuqing nodded slightly, her eyes holding a somewhat expectant expression. When we return, we'll be able to see Feng Ji. I don't know where he went this half year. Xiao Wu flung Tang, sans newly combed scorpion braid. Without Captain, I somewhat missed the taste of roasted sausages. Oscar made a slurping sound, apparently somewhat nostalgic. Monster Captain returning this time. He should have obtained his 4th spirit ring, right? Ma Hongjun pinched his chin, pondering. After we return, we should also obtain our 4th spirit ring, one by one stepping into the spirit ancestor realm. I don't know when we'll still be able to beat him. I haven't fought Captain for a long time. I still somewhat miss it. Dai Mubai clenched his fist. Seeing everyone's interest suddenly rise, Flinder nodded slightly, saying, Good, Tang San, as the team commander this time. You lead the team. Tang San nodded, immediately beginning to assign everyone tasks. This time going to the Sunset Forest to obtain their 4th spirit ring. Because everyone had taken immortal herbs, the quality of their bodies had been greatly enhanced. They could consider surpassing the limit, obtaining a spirit ring of around 5,000 years. When the time came, According to the spirit beast's age and characteristics, they could again select and absorb it. Because of the additional special training, we must be careful. Tang-san pondered. Little A.O., your mushroom sausages must be prepared for everyone, just in case. First of all about spirit beasts, if we encounter a spirit beast, then our 7-person combination is very simple. Me, Mubai, and Xiao will be in charge of the main attack. Zhuqing will be in charge of restraining it. Hongjun, you are in charge of protecting Rongrong and Oscar in the rear, and also carry out long-range attacks. And as for spirit beasts, remember by all means that you can't directly kill them, otherwise we won't be able to choose. If necessary, Oscar, your roasted sausages can also be given to spirit beasts on the verge of death. Everyone nodded slightly. And the other point is related to this 6-ring Spirit Emperor's special training. Tang-san looked at everyone, somewhat seriously saying, since it's a friend invited by Grandmaster, then presumably it's not simple. He might attack us at any time. It might be when we're sleeping, when we're hurrying, when we're eating and resting, and even more likely when we're hunting spirit beasts. And as for a 6-ring Spirit Emperor, we alone are unable to defeat him. Plus our understanding of him is very little. But this 6-ring Spirit Emperor might understand us very well through Grandmaster, but we know nothing, therefore we have to be extremely careful. Hongjun, you can't be careless. Ma Hongjun giggled a few times, saying, Third brother, you can even defeat the 58th ranked Tainua. You feel there's no need to be so serious, right? Tang-san shook his head. It's not that simple. A 60-something ranked Spirit Emperor. Even if I used hidden weapons, I still wouldn't be able to defeat him. Also, I said, what if that 6-ring Spirit Emperor understands us very well? With my hidden weapons, if he's prepared, we won't have any chance of victory. Hearing this, the smile on Ma Hongjun's face faded slightly. What Tang-san said was very reasonable. What if the other side understood them very well through Grandmaster? The 7 people didn't know anything. After entering the Sunset Forest, we have to be extremely careful in everything. No matter when, we can't act alone. Tang-san looked at the 7 people. At least we have to carry out private activities in groups of 2. Me and Xiao Wu in one group, Little A.O., Hongjun, Mubai you 3 in one group, Zhuqing and Rongrong in another. Fine, everyone agreed. After discussing it, the party began to set out for the Sunset Forest. Xiao Gang, you say, can they take off his mask? Flender looked at the 7 people, speaking in a low voice. A bit difficult. Let's see the opportunity. It's in almost half a year, even though their strength has increased. Grandmaster muttered to himself a moment, then slowly said, but Xiao Feng's strength should increase even faster. I think their only chance to take off the mask. Lu Erlong, on the other hand, looked at one of the figures with deep meaning. Perhaps it's on her. The Sunset Forest was very close to Heavendo City. This was also a place where Heavendo City and the several nearby cities hunted spirit beasts. Different from Spirit Hunting Forest, which was controlled by people. Even though the Sunset Forest didn't have spirit beasts as formidable as the Titan Giant Ape, there were still quite a few 10,000-year spirit beasts that weren't easy to deal with. Fortunately, compared to Stardew Great Forest, this Sunset Forest vegetation wasn't as dense because of the terrain. The Sunset Forest feels a bit weaker than Stardew Great Forest. The 7 of them hadn't encountered many 1,000-year spirit beasts along the way, and compared to Stardew Great Forest, they were still a bit weaker. Furthermore, the Sunset Forest area wasn't as large as Stardew Great Forest, and in addition to the many surrounding cities, the spirit beasts were hunted wantonly. Right now, the quality of the spirit beasts here was naturally much lower than in Stardew Great Forest. At this time, the sound of fighting suddenly came from afar. There seems to be a fight in front. Dai Mubai, who was leading the way, immediately sensed it. At the same time, Tang-san also immediately sensed it. At this time, Zhu Zhuqing landed on a large tree to the side with a swoosh. Her cold voice slowly transmitted over. It's people from another academy in Heavendo City. They're wearing the academy's uniform, and 2 men and 1 woman are currently hunting a spirit beast. The situation doesn't seem too good. She was in charge of scouting, and the moment she heard the sound, she immediately went to investigate. Go take a look, Zhu Zhuqing said. Tang Xin muttered to himself a moment, saying, let's take a look. We can't act rashly. End of this chapter. That you're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.